Take pride in dying at the hands of the vampire slayer, the slayer declares as his massive sword comes down on the old man. This slayer declares that the man's corrupted form is proof of his sins. But then he asks if the old man knows something, he says with a wide, cruel smile. The reason I have not captured you until now is deliberate, the old man reveals, his red eye widening in shock. This slayer explains that letting him rampage was all part of the plan. Geez, he did it all just to look stylish and send a warning. Our boy grits his teeth in pure humiliation. He thinks about how this world is just survival of the fittest. This strong decide everything, which is why he always ran away. This slayer's blade flashes right before his eyes. He lets out a final scream as his life ends, and then he jolts awake, gasping for air. He is lying on a simple mat inside a crude shelter. He wonders if it was all just a terrible dream. But no, he recognizes this place as his old tent. He checks the markings on the wall. It is half a year in the past. He stands up. Realizing he is alive before the chase even began, he remembers his one mistake when instinct took over long ago. That single act led to mercenaries swarming him the very next day, the bewildered regressor recalls. But he knows he has been given a second chance he cannot waste. He vows to become so strong that no one can ever kill him again. This old man senses it. The greater the power that can be gained, it is here. He has found his target, the master of the forest, the four-eyed lizard beast rumbles. Now more than anyone, I desperately, he thinks, striking the beast across the face with his blade, but the creature just whips its tail, sending him flying back. Damn, he is already on the ground, bleeding and completely outmatched. He knows the difference in strength is extreme, but a magic stone could change it all. This beast charges and he realizes he underestimated this opportunity, and just like that, he is caught inside the monster's jaws, but his eyes are glowing red. He is not done yet, he thinks to himself. No, I do not overestimate myself that much. With a fierce look, he declares, I chose to fight just to live. His arm starts glowing with power. He has to fight and win. A voice echoes in his head. If you cannot win, no next chance will be given. He reaches deep inside the monster's throat for its glowing red core. He grabs hold of the core, seizing his one and only chance. A massive blast of golden energy erupts from the beast. He remembers his vow. If given another chance, I swore to choose the path of fighting, not fleeing. This power transforms him. He is younger, with black scales covering his skin. He recalls how he first learned of this beast while captured by mercenaries. Back then, floods expanded the wetlands, and the beast attacked the mercenaries. In the chaos, he drank the creature's blood and managed to escape. He clenches his new hand. This power is still not enough to face the Holy Knight. This name hangs in the air. Holy Knight Jung Durhicht. He knows he must build power to confront the Holy Knights when they come. Suddenly, a voice laughs, saying the false master who ruined his lake is finally dead. A water spirit rises from the depths. Announcing this is the domain of Miriam. She shrinks down, muttering that the bald vampire cannot hear her anyway, but our boy asks who she is. This spirit is completely shocked that he can actually see and hear her. She tries to play it cool, but he just repeats his question. She asks if he heard her earlier, and he confirms he heard the part about the bald vampire. Man, awkward. So she properly introduces herself as Miriam, the spirit of water. Miriam asks about his tattoos, but he says, I do not know either, they were always there. I was a vampire from before I can even remember, he thinks, his back and arms covered in glowing orange symbols. I have always had these 10 tattoos but no memories of the distant past, so I wonder if they are a spell and if today's events undid one, he muses as he gets dressed to leave. She complains about being bored, but he just reminds her she has a swamp to purify. Geez, that is cold, he thinks on the road to Broadone village. A man bursts in to tell the village chief that the red-eyed monster is here. Can we take it? The villagers whisper, confused as he usually only brings game once every full moon. He is a mysterious person who lives at the foot of the mountain, and yeah, the villagers know him as the red-eyed monster. For over 10 years, he has lived nearby without harming anyone, just sharing food, but well, they think, who could possibly understand the mind of a monster, poor guy. And so their strange relationship continued for over 10 years. This villagers are wary as he approaches them in the town square. He explains he was away because of an illness but is now cured. He says the village helped him, so he wants to return the favor. He asks them to call on him whenever they need help. This crowd erupts in shock, recognizing the red-eyed monster. An old man wonders if he was always this handsome under his mask. His blue companion appears, asking what Eugene is thinking. She reminds him a vampire should be about slaughter, not goodwill. She argues they are leaving soon, so mingling is pointless. But Eugene thinks sometimes connections are necessary, he muses, putting his mask back on. He says he cannot just stand by and watch what is about to happen, the blue companion wonders. Eugene explains he needs to gain their trust first to seem harmless. She flies straight into his back with a loud whack. She complains about the pain, then stops short, seeing something ahead. She stares with a band-aid now on her nose. I wonder who those guys are, Eugene thinks, standing before the armed mercenaries. This men size him up as a poorly equipped loner. Their leader gives the order to take him out quietly. The mercenary leader hears with horror. Damn, he says he needs their trust so he does not look suspicious. Of course, you have to build trust with people, Eugene explains, and then he says the most important part. Do not look suspicious. With a bloodthirsty grin, he declares his real plan. I am going to kill all the mercenaries. This mercenary leader screams orders as his men fall. Damn it, he is not an ordinary guy, at least recover the bodies. One man tries to fight back, but Eugene notes that the sun is setting. He blitzes past the man in a blur of motion and lands a devastating blow right to his gut. A text bubble appears. Night is my time. The scene cuts to black as the slaughter continues. Did the red-eyed monster do this? The village chief asks. Eugene calmly lies, saying he found them while checking his traps. He points to a pile of bodies, claiming they were attacked by the real culprits. This culprits he is pointing to are a pack of dead wolves. I apologize for my suspicion, but what should we do with the bodies? Perhaps bury them in the village, the chief asks. Miriam thinks to herself, Eugene, every time you speak it is a lie, huh? She wonders why he cares so much about appearances instead of just leaving. As Eugene talks to the chief, Miriam realizes he must have a plan. I checked the mercenaries' belongings and found this, Eugene says, handing the chief a blood-stained letter. This chief recognizes the seal immediately. No doubt it bears Lord T1's seal. What is this? His eyes widen in pure shock at the letter's contents. This is true. He runs back to the villagers in a panic, asking if a man named Felid is in the village. A flashback reveals a young man named Felid, who is rumored to be Lord T1's illegitimate son. This mercenary leader realizes these men were sent to fetch Felid, and is shocked to learn the kid is a noble. Eugene cuts through the mercenaries with ease as their leader wonders how he gathered so many people. If we retreat now, we are dead anyway, a mercenary reasons, spurring the group to attack together. Their leader grits his teeth, thinking they cannot run, and this monster just appeared out of nowhere. This battle is a blur of motion as Eugene continues his relentless assault. He lands a devastating blow on one of the mercenaries. This force of the impact sends the man flying backward into a tree. Eugene lands perfectly as the mercenary leader falls to the ground, defeated. This leader asks why Eugene was waiting for them, why he targeted them specifically. He claims they were just passing through to the village beyond the mountain. I am curious why you are going to the village that belongs to me, Eugene looms, his red eyes glowing. This mercenary panics. I am sorry, I did not know it was ruled by a vampire, but we did not come to hunt vampires. He explains they were just there to find the hidden son of the T1 family, who is living there in secret. Eugene calls his bluff. You lie well, what is your real goal? That would not justify mobilizing so many people. He grabs the man, asking if they plan to wipe out the village. The mercenary admits it is not entirely false. He confesses they were hired by the family heirs, Lord Kamara and Lord Bertle, not the family head. He explains that the order to massacre the villagers was not from the knight Bertle, it was the mercenaries' own greed. They just saw a chance for a quick score and would never have tried it if they knew a vampire was there. Eugene lets him go and walks away. Understood, be careful of wolves on the way back. This mercenary thanks him for his mercy. Just before Eugene's hand bursts through his chest, man, that is cold. Miriam appears, questioning why he killed them after they confessed. Eugene says he cannot let them live back in the village. The chief tells everyone the dead mercenaries were guards sent to take Felid to the castle. These villagers are in a panic. A boy named Felid is alone, and the mercenaries sent for him were killed by beasts. So the village chief asks Eugene to escort the boy to the lord's castle. This chief feels bad asking him to take on such a dangerous task, but Eugene smiles. It is fine, as a knight I cannot turn a blind eye. Miriam just calls him shameless. Miriam is completely stunned into silence. She stutters his name in total disbelief. Eugene just smirks. Sorry for the late introduction, he announces. I am Yan Eugene of the Eugene family. But a villager shouts that no one would believe it. This village chief points in shock. A knight. Miriam is still frozen in place, completely floored by his audacity. Eugene repeats his name, but a villager yells asking if they are really expected to believe that. These villagers are all thinking the same thing, that the red-eyed monster was a noble. Someone in the crowd shushes, telling them to call him Lord Eugene. Miriam thinks he has gone too far, but Eugene points out these people have never seen a noble before. This whole village is in an uproar, and they have no way to tell if he is lying or not. And yeah, they totally buy it, asking why a knight was hiding in the forest for 10 years. He says he had his reasons for cutting ties with the world, and the villagers just eat it up. This chief admits they are too poor to offer a reward, but Eugene just asks for a place to rest. This chief is overjoyed, offering his own home for the night. Later, Eugene examines his hand, thinking about the skin-hardening ability he gained. His red eye glows as he clenches his scaled fist. He notes the black scales also block sunlight, which will make his journey much easier. Miriam sits on his hand, scolding him for claiming to be a knight when he cannot even read. Eugene is unbothered, saying he will be leaving soon anyway. He then asks what her goal is. She gets in his face, demanding to know why he is suddenly helping the villagers, before a voice calls for Lord Eugene. These villagers tell him they are ready to depart, and Eugene thinks about how he gained status overnight. He explains that humans trust authority more than words, and status helps reduce his lies. This village chief hands him a letter of explanation, asking him to take care of a young man named Felid. A young man with a large pack introduces himself. I am Felid, I look forward to your guidance, Lord Eugene. Eugene, now masked and hooded, introduces himself as Yan Eugene, and so the two of them begin their journey across a vast green landscape. They arrive at a signpost, and Felid confirms this is the village called Brahms. Felid explains that his mother, though low status, was taught to read by someone she loved. Miriam pops up beside Eugene, telling him this is the perfect time to ask Felid for reading lessons, so Eugene asks, can you teach me to read as well, leaving Felid completely stunned. That title is meaningless for a fallen knight who was kept alive by a sword, not by words, Eugene replies. He walks ahead, leaving Felid to process this new information. Felid apologizes for doubting him, admitting he was prejudiced because of the village rumors. He decides he will confirm things with his own eyes rather than rely on what others say. Felid smiles. I will teach you whenever we have spare time. But as he asks Eugene to tell him more, a blade flashes right by his face. Two bandits appear from the side of the road, one with a crossbow and the other with an axe. Felid freezes in terror and the bandit leader smirks, saying this will be quick. This bandit demands they drop all their cargo and everything in their pockets or they will be dead. Suddenly, one of the bandits screams for his brother as a spray of blood erupts. Eugene stands over the fallen man. I moved exactly as you wanted, Snappy. Damn, that is cold. He looks at the bodies scattered on the hillside. I really cannot understand. Felid just stands there, splattered in blood and completely shocked by the sudden violence. Eugene tells Felid he can believe what he wants. But I will not let a single drop of blood touch you. They finally arrive at a large, bustling town nestled in a valley. In the market, a vendor hawks fresh herbs from the northern dungeon for 20 copper coins. A customer haggles with another merchant, claiming a different shop sells the same goods for half price. Felid warns Eugene to be careful, saying the merchants here will rip him off. Eugene thinks to himself that you need money in the first place to even be careful. He tells Felid to wait a moment and walks into a leather shop. He throws a pile of wolf hides on the counter, asking the shopkeeper for a price. This shopkeeper recognizes the rare black wolf hides and is surprised by how many there are. He gives the hooded Eugene a suspicious look, sizing him up. He sees the shabby clothes and grins, thinking this guy is an easy target to scam. This merchant claims the hides are too damaged, offering a measly 18 silver coins, then he laughs, acting generous. First time here, huh? I will give you 23 coins. Eugene just stares silently, making the man sweat. He nervously raises the offer to 25 coins. 28 coins, the merchant states. Eugene's red eye glows, and the terrified merchant wonders how much more he can possibly want. He finally caves. 30 silver coins, that is really the best I can do. Eugene just says deal. Later that night, they sit by a campfire as Eugene looks over a scroll. He thinks the shopkeeper looked like a pushover and that he still cannot read people well. Miriam appears, complimenting his new clothes. Vampires are supposed to wear silk, but this is good enough. Eugene says the market was nice and that the shopkeeper was a complete sucker. Miriam realizes Eugene just stared the man down to get the price up. She yells, darn it, I should have pushed harder and bought the expensive silk. Eugene asks how she knows so much. She explains that spirits from the human world used to visit her home. She says if you live for 200 years, you should learn things, then asks if he can read. He just says nope. Eugene asks Miriam what else she can do besides make holy water, as Felid looks on confused. Felid nervously asks, sorry, who were you talking to just now? Just talking to myself, you okay? Eugene asks, deflecting the apology. Miriam thinks it was too much for the kid, but Eugene says it is normal to not be used to dead bodies, but Felid rallies himself. Do not worry, I have still got plenty of energy and the night is long. He smiles brightly. I have lots of paper left, so I can teach you as much as you want. And so they spend the night by the fire, with Felid teaching Eugene how to read. Eugene asks, is reading supposed to be this easy? Felid says it is because he is amazing. Felid explains it took him months to learn and most people need at least a year. Will this really be okay? Eugene asks, comparing it to becoming a noble overnight. Felid admits his mom never told him the details. It still does not feel real, he blushes, saying he is not even expecting Lord T1 to welcome him. But just then, a group of armed men on horseback appear on the road. Man, they cannot catch a break. Their leader sizes them up, asking, mind telling us where you are headed? Eugene knows lying would be suspicious, so he tells them the truth. We are going to Lord T1's castle. This leader says they are headed the same way, offering to share supplies if they can share the fire. A younger blonde mercenary eagerly asks to join, and Eugene calmly agrees. This captain apologizes for the new guy Laban. He does not know when to keep quiet yet. This captain introduces himself as Pardek, and Eugene gives his fake title, Knight Yan Eugene. This blonde kid immediately calls him out, pointing out he has no horse and no armor. He gets in Eugene's face. Come on, tell the truth, you're not really a knight, are you? He scoffs at the name. Yan of House Eugene, I never heard of that family. With a sinister grin and glowing eyes, he concludes that Eugene is faking it. Eugene's red eyes narrow as he considers his next move. I am stuck with the night story now, he thinks, noting the new mercenary's different agenda. He calmly assesses the situation, thinking he could just kill them all. His hand slowly moves towards the hilt of his sword. He repeats the thought that he could cut every single one of them down. His fingers wrap around the handle, ready to draw. Apology accepted, just hold your positions properly, the masked man tells him. Eugene realizes that suspicion will just keep growing. He needs to become a real knight to avoid attention. Suddenly, a blonde mercenary looks up in utter shock. He's being held back by his captain, who calls him a brainless idiot. This captain, Pardek, screams at him. How could you charge at a knight without a speck of fear? Do you have a death wish? He lands a solid punch, yelling that they almost died because of him. Rabin complains that Eugene just looked like a scruffy guy, but Pardek tells him he cannot see 2 steps ahead. He points out that Eugene was reading a letter, meaning he is literate and not a commoner. He says Eugene was about to draw his sword and they would have all been killed. Pardek continues, he observes, watching their opponent carefully. He saw that Eugene already had his hand inside his robe. His foot shifted back for an attack. That is the stance of someone who knows exactly how to shift their balance to match their sword path. He tells the kid, if I'd been 1 second slower, your head would have been rolling. You really do not grasp how terrifying a knight is, Pardek muses, thinking of his own ambition. He dreams of the day he can finally earn the title of knight himself. Elsewhere, a mercenary captain muses that impersonating a knight is a serious crime. He figures only someone who has reached a high level would dare make such a claim. "So that means Eugene is stronger than you," one of his men asks the captain. Eugene overhears them. Realizing the title of knight carries more weight than he thought, he watches their camp, wondering why the T1 family hired two different sets of mercenaries, so he just walks right up to their camp, causing a bit of a panic. "I heard you are also heading to Lord T1's castle," the mercenary captain says with an unfazed smile. He even puts his arm around a younger mercenary, who seems quite flustered by his handsome captain. Later, Eugene walks through a town, thinking he can gather intel by traveling with them. This real problem, he thinks, is what comes after. Miriam appears, calling his name. A text box explains what Miriam overheard from the mercenaries. This T1 family apparently has neither the funds nor the manpower to open the new dungeon. Eugene considers this new information about the dungeon. Miriam asks what will happen to Felid if Lord T1 dies soon. Eugene coldly replies that it has nothing to do with him. "Man, that is cold," she presses him, asking if he is okay with Felid getting killed by his siblings. Eugene thinks the old lord probably just wants to see his son one last time before he dies. He looks over at Felid, thinking both of their fates are about to change. Their cart rolls to a stop as a voice announces their arrival. Eugene looks up at the massive castle. Miriam excitedly tells him he should live in a place like this. He just grabs her and tells her to get inside, much to Felid's confusion. A guard stops their party at the gate, demanding they state their business. "Greetings, we are the mercenary group commissioned by the Paylin Merchant Guild." The mercenary captain greets the family's eldest son, Kamara T1. This captain confirms the delivery, and Kamara tells them to get to work unloading. He then spots Eugene standing apart from the others, asking who he is. Eugene recognizes that voice, thinking to himself that this guy is starting again, but another voice cuts in. A knight in a red cape says it is his duty to examine outsiders. Eugene's eye glows. He thinks there is no way he could ever forget that voice. He remembers this man as the one who first found him hiding, the general manager of the Vampire Pursuit Unit, and he was one of the men who tormented him in the past. Damn, this is bad news. Knight Bertel T1, the name of the stoic knight, flashes in Eugene's memory. Kamara asks his brother what he is doing here. Bertel is the second son of the family. Kamara mocks him. Do I have to report every single thing I do to you? Anyone would think you are already the successor." Bertel just replies that he did not mean it like that. "Excuse me," Eugene interrupts, stepping right between the two bickering brothers. He holds out a letter, and Bertel is surprised to see it. Kamara takes the letter from Eugene's hand. Looking confused, he recognizes it is from Chief Jeb. He reads that the mercenaries were wiped out and that the kid is an illegitimate child. Felid steps forward. Felid introduces himself, and Kamara puts on a big fake smile. "Oh ho, so you are our new brother," Bertel looks on coldly. "We were just waiting for you. Father misses you very much." He then orders someone to take Felid, wash him up, and dress him. A guard approaches a confused Felid as the brothers watch, but Bertel suddenly stops the guard. Eugene speaks up. "I'd like to talk about the reward first. Let me meet Lord T1. It was quite a struggle to bring such a precious brother here," the blond man in the purple coat sneers. "Do not make me say it twice," the blond man threatens, his blue eyes glowing. He yells at his brother, asking why it is not possible for Felid to see their father. This brother in purple explains their father is too weak to meet a stranger of unknown origin. He then accuses his brother of trying to manipulate their father's schedule. This man in the red cape just sighs in frustration. This purple-coated brother turns to Eugene with a fake smile, blaming his brother for playing successor. He pauses for dramatic effect, he says, patting Eugene's shoulder. He puts an arm around Felid, offering to guide his new brother around the castle himself. Eugene thinks to himself that he never intended to let him meet the Lord anyway. Elsewhere, a red-haired knight is beating up mercenaries for slacking off and looting. He grins, suggesting they execute one as an example for the others. Man, that is intense. This blond man in the red cape watches silently, thinking about the mercenaries. Felid asks why a knight like that is here, and Eugene says it is probably for the new dungeon. A knight who opens a new dungeon gains immense fame because so many die in the attempt. Eugene finds Pardek, confirming his commission to escort them is now over. He then offers the mercenary captain a new request. Night falls over the massive stone castle. This blonde in the red cape stands over the beaten men, determined to open the dungeon himself. He thinks about his brother's ambition, and how he brought a powerful knight to help him if his brother succeeds. Public sentiment will shift entirely in his favor. Meanwhile, the brother in purple paces his office, wondering who he can possibly hire. Then he hears a knock. This blonde man, Felid's brother, tells Eugene he can worry less about Felid. "I am paying special attention to his safety." He thanks Eugene for handing him the letter in front of his other brother. "Thanks to you, I could hold my head up a bit." Eugene smirks, saying he only had business with the Lord. But a third party intervened, which was perplexing. This brother's eyes narrow, clearly intrigued by this new player. He asks what Eugene wants, and our boy cuts to the chase. "I came because I want to make a proposal to you, Lord Kamara." Eugene just lets out a small laugh at the title. "You are a funnier person than I thought, sir," Kamara scoffs, looking down at the knight's worn clothes. He leans in with a smug grin, asking if he heard that correctly. He asks if Eugene is just trying to build a reputation, but Eugene fires back. "Is there a reason I should humor you?" Eugene leans in, promising a proposal that is not bad for Kamara's current situation. He lays out his terms for a successful dungeon opening, 100 silver for his group. Kamara is immediately suspicious. "You are aware that is far below the average market rate, right?" Eugene just smiles. "Well, the one in a hurry is not me, but you, man, the power play." We will also take half the treasure but none of the magic stones, Eugene continues. Kamara repeats that the offer is so generous it feels suspicious. You do know that is far below the market price, right? He starts to piece it together, thinking that knights live and die by honor. He concludes Eugene is a wandering knight without a backer, so honor must be his only currency. Eugene's words echo that he is not the one in a rush. You are. Kamara's eyes widen. He thinks he understands the game now. A wicked grin spreads across his face, a dark silhouette looming behind him. He realizes Eugene is playing him perfectly, not just some muscle-bound knight. Elsewhere, the other mercenary captain gives Eugene some advice. He explains that byproducts are actually more profitable than magic stones. He offers to introduce Eugene to a trustworthy merchant guild. Just say you only want the byproducts, Sir Eugene. A blonde noble smirks, saying Lord Kamara will have no reason to reject the offer. A voice explains that in this world it is life or death and half-trained skills are a liability. A red-haired man says his expectations are low. Since the knight was found by his brother, he explains his brother has a poor network and does not get along with other nobles. This blonde noble leans in, telling him to deliver the news himself. The red-haired man asks why it is his job. This sound of a door creaking open fills the air. These two men enter a room full of people. The blonde apologizes for being late. I was chatting with our new knight for a moment. I will introduce them, the red-haired man announces to Pardek's shocked recognition. This blonde noble addresses his brother. We cannot accept someone whose background and skills are completely unverified. But the other brother vouches for Eugene, saying he can at least guarantee his skill. This surprises the red-haired knight. He explains he heard about a bandit group causing trouble at the edge of their territory. He says Eugene wiped them out with a single short sword. His skill should be more than enough, do not you think? He then slams the dagger down, embedding it in a wooden surface. He looks over at the others. Well then. This red-haired knight addresses Eugene, apologizing for his earlier rudeness. He says Eugene's unscarred skin made him look soft. He grins with a sinister look. Would you mind showing us your skills, young master? And so a duel is set in the castle courtyard, surrounded by a crowd under the night sky. This crowd murmurs in excitement. A man yells that Sir Galfredick is dueling. They want to see the skills of the knight who ranked third in the tournament, a man said to be inhumanly strong. From the crowd, a spectator watches the two opponents facing each other. He says he does not know who the opponent is, but he is already starting to feel sorry for him. Galfredick stands ready, a huge confident grin on his face. His expression turns serious, his eyes sharp and focused on his target. Eugene just stares back, his masked face unreadable, his red eyes calm. Eugene stands in the torchlit courtyard, his red eyes focused and ready. He tosses a sword to Galfredick, who catches it with a surprised look. A man with a mustache acts as the referee. Now ready, a knight rings a massive bell to signal the start of the duel. Their swords clash instantly, sparks flying in the night air. A blonde man cheers. Sir Galfredick is being pushed back without a fight, but Pardek corrects him. No, he is just feeling things out. Pardek watches intently, knowing Sir Galfredick is letting himself be pushed. Galfredick grins, easily deflecting Eugene's rapid strikes. He thinks Eugene's swordsmanship is rough, with no discernible style or habits. You talk too much, Eugene yells, charging forward. Galfredick just smirks. Defeat me and I will keep my mouth shut. Eugene stomps the ground and rushes in, a blur of motion. Bertel watches from the crowd with a huge grin. Is he knocked out? This two leap into the air, their blades creating a whirlwind of steel. Galfredick grabs Eugene's collar, laughing maniacally. You have a smaller build than me, so how do you possess such strength? Eugene looks up, acknowledging to himself that Galfredick's raw power is overwhelmingly superior. Galfredick throws a punch, and Eugene ducks under the blow. This red-haired knight stops his own fist inches from Eugene's face. It is my defeat. Galfredick lies flat on his back in the dirt, defeated but smiling. Damn, he actually did it. This referee stammers in disbelief. The winner is. This blonde man from the crowd celebrates wildly. Did you see that, you lot? That person right there is our knight. Galfredick's eyes are wide with shock as he lies on the ground. He looks up from the dirt at Eugene standing over him. The victor, Eugene turns and walks away. The duel concluded. Elsewhere, Bertel T1's blue eyes glow with absolute fury. This scene cuts to a massive feast laid out on a table. A butler informs Eugene that Kamara ordered this meal for him. He insisted that you must eat and rest well in order to open the dungeon, so I will personally oversee your meals with the utmost care, Sir Eugene. Eugene dismisses them, saying he will take care of his own meals. His little spirit companion jokes about vampires not needing food. The servants hesitate, but Eugene tells them to go and pass a message to Lord Kamara. Kamara himself appears with a huge grin. Well, look who we have here is not at my capable knight, Sir Yan. Eugene, did you sleep well last night? Eugene replies that he slept well enough. Kamara notes that he rejected all the amenities he sent. Another knight rushes in, bowing dramatically and shouting Eugene's name. Kamara seems to find this hilarious. Galfredick shoves Kamara aside and throws an arm around Eugene. Why, if it is not my friend and comrade, Sir Yan Eugene? He asks if Eugene slept well, complaining that his face was throbbing all night from their duel. He points to his bruised cheek. See this, my face is all black and blue. Eugene wonders if the guy is asking for another beating. Eugene thinks that Galfredick does not seem to care if he is a real knight or not. He looks on with his masked face, his red eye taking everything in, and because of that duel, the others who were suspicious have dropped their doubts. This was the result he wanted, but having people swarm around him is new. It is something he still cannot get used to even after several days. Galfredick challenges him to another round, and Eugene says it seems he wants to be hit again. A new voice cuts in. A young man with brown hair smiles at them. Have you been well all this time? The young man asks. Back in the present, a man lies bleeding on the floor. A voice says none of this would have happened if he had just done his job. This voice continues, if you had killed him back in that cursed village from the start. It is Bertel T1. He says that the red-eyed knight would never have come to Rose Castle. Wiped out by common wolves, Bertel scoffs at his subordinate. A flashback shows Bertel grabbing a man's face. Are those eyes in your skull stuck for decoration? His eyes glow with a cold light. If they are useless. He holds a dagger to the man's eye. I may as well dig them out. Damn, that is just brutal. This other men in the room watch in absolute terror. A dagger lies on the floor in a pool of blood. Bertel wonders what he should do now. He thinks he cannot just kill someone who is already in the castle, but then he gets an idea, a close-up of a man's determined blue eye. This title card for the chapter appears elsewhere. Felid is talking to Eugene. He says the mercenaries attacked by wolves were likely sent by one of his brothers. Eugene listens intently. Felid explains that his brothers never wanted him to reach the castle alive. Felid looks at Eugene, saying there's a way for him to live. Eugene makes his offer. Felid T1, you only need to become my squire. Felid is stunned. Our boy explains that since Felid is 16, he can choose his own path without a guardian's approval. He gives Felid a choice, wait for his brothers to kill him or fight until his last breath. At the dungeon raid prep site, a knight gives orders. A porter is just glad he does not have to fight. Some other mercenaries plan to fake an injury and stay behind, saying first-time raids are a death sentence. I clearly assigned the bastard here, so where is Felid? Bertel demands upon arriving. A guard points, and Bertel sees Felid giving Eugene a bag of snacks for his journey. Bertel is enraged, thinking Felid ran off to some nobody. He shoves a guard out of his way. He storms over to them, yelling Felid's name and accusing him of wasting time. He orders Felid to get his gear and get to his position right now, but Eugene grabs Bertel's arm, stopping him cold. Bertel looks down in disbelief. Eugene confronts him. You intend to send a boy who has never held anything sharper than a kitchen knife into a dungeon opening? Are you insane? Bertel's eyes glow with fury. Know your place. You have no right to order this child around. But Eugene just looks down at him. I think you are the one who does not know his place. Suddenly, a new voice cuts in. A masked person with long black hair speaks. That child became my squire as of yesterday. They address the stunned crowd, including Galfredick and Bertel. Everyone here is a witness. This masked knight lays down the law. This forms a bond thicker than blood, so if you dare touch a single hair on this child, I will take it as a direct challenge against me. They get right in Bertel's face. Well, since we are about to enter the dungeon, maybe we can warm up our bodies a little. Felid remembers this person's power and how someone once told him he would need a second life to reach that level. Kamara sees his chance and drapes an arm over a shocked Bertel. I too can entrust my brother to Sir Eugene. He grins, twisting the situation perfectly. He is a proper adult at 16 should he not choose his own path. Eugene watches this unfold, thinking that once a predator marks the weak, survival is harsh. Bertel's face is a mask of pure horror. He has been completely outplayed. Man, what a betrayal. Kamara leads Felid away, mockingly asking if he can even read as he offers to show him the library. This scene changes. It is time to open the dungeon. Galfredick orders his new mercenary squad. This group marches into the dark, foreboding entrance of the cave. You fucking idiots, cannot you maintain formation properly? The blood-covered Galfredick roars. A mercenary panics, thinking that volunteering for this was a mistake from the start. A shadowy monster appears behind him as a voice mocks him. Did you think you would not encounter monsters if you went back the way you came? Galfredick grabs the panicking man. Snap out of it. This is the safest place when we stick together. He shoves the man back into formation, yelling at them to hold their positions. From Galfredick's perspective, a horde of green monsters swarms toward them. He thinks to himself that these hastily gathered mercenaries are in bad shape. How am I supposed to conquer a dungeon with guys like this? His men shout that more monsters are coming from the rear. Galfredick just grins. Damn it, switch to a dual front formation. But then his expression shifts to one of complete and utter shock. A swirling black vortex opens up on the ground right in the middle of their ranks. A shattered helmet lies on the cavern floor, a casualty of the vortex. Galfredick yells for Partek to follow Eugene and cover his back. His eyes are wide with disbelief at what just happened, but Eugene is already back, holding a glowing flower. I killed all the ones swarming from the intersection. More importantly, this. I found it around the corner. Is it expensive? Galfredick looks at the small pile of magic stones. Not many. Is this all after defeating so many? This spirit explains that the quality of a magic stone is proportional to the monster's strength or size. Galfredick curses just as they were about to catch their breath. Break time's over, get back in formation. He calls them weaklings and tells them he and Eugene will take the lead. It is my first time in a dungeon too, and you want me to take the lead, Eugene thinks. Because it seems monsters on a whole different level are coming. A deep rumbling sound echoes from the darkness ahead. Galfredick explains that mid-grade monsters who use goblins as pawns are probably up ahead. Eugene recalls gaining a significant ability after eating the red magic stone of the Swamp Master. He senses over 50 footsteps 100 meters away, with 3 heavier ones behind them. Galfredick grins and offers Eugene a massive spear. Want to try throwing it yourself? This next scene shows the aftermath, a cavern littered with bodies. A dead goblin lies on the ground next to a fallen mercenary. Galfredick notes that most of their forces have lost the will to push forward. He thinks to himself that going any farther seems impossible. He tells Eugene they have hit their quota and asks if they should head back, but Eugene says he has plenty of stamina left and leaving now feels like a waste. If you want to return, go ahead, Galfredick yells. And with that, Eugene steps forward, crushing a goblin's head under his boot. A voice orders Galfredick to lead the subjugation squad out of the dungeon. Wait for us, Captain Sir Eugene, one of the mercenaries left behind yells. Sir Eugene, do not tell me, Galfredick murmurs in realization. Eugene has a warm heart hidden behind that fierce exterior, he thinks, watching the man who redefines what a knight truly is. So Eugene and his two chosen mercenaries venture deeper into the spider-infested cave. This blonde mercenary is already regretting this. Thinking he is terrified and did not want to come, he tries to reassure himself that Eugene can handle anything that comes their way. He steps on something squishy and looks down to see a crushed spider. A massive cave spider appears, a monster that lives in colonies and uses acid poison. This other mercenary yells that they should retreat, but Eugene just asks, "Retreat." Our boy is already in motion, his blade a blur cutting through the darkness. This blonde mercenary gets swarmed by smaller spiders, screaming for help. A huge spider lunges right for his face, and he screams in pure terror, but a sword slices through the monster just in time, saving him from a nasty end. This blonde mercenary looks up, sweat dripping down his face in shock. Eugene stands over him, his red eyes glowing with deadly focus. This mercenary collapses to the ground, his sword clattering beside him. He gets back up, asking if Eugene is a monster himself before suggesting they head back. He turns to the other mercenary for backup, but gets only silence. This brown-haired mercenary is frozen in terror, thinking he cannot believe he ran into this here. A text box explains that higher-ranked monsters exist but are so rare they are not usually planned for. And yeah, a massive, blood-covered spider leg slams down. It is a high-ranking giant cave spider. This porters panic, telling Eugene they have to retreat from a lord-rank monster. But Eugene's red eye glows with intensity. "You two fall back, this one is mine." This porters can only stammer out a yes, Miriam jokes to a silent Eugene. "No, that one looks stronger than the swamp lord," she grins. This massive insectoid monster lets out a terrifying screech. The harder a treasure chest is to open, the better the reward, Eugene thinks while fighting smaller spider-like monsters in the forest. He reaches out his hand, a strange power gathering at his fingertips. A black substance covers his skin, with a glowing symbol appearing on his palm. He recalls the second ability he acquired after devouring the Lord's magic stone, camouflage, he thinks. He first uses his skin-hardening ability to protect his flesh. Then he uses camouflage to reproduce the appearance of human skin over it, the porter realizes. This scene shifts to a fancy dinner where women fawn over him for defeating a massive spider. Miriam laughs, saying his energy is being sucked right out of him. One of the women compliments his beauty, asking if he has elven blood in his ancestry. Eugene thinks to himself that this has just made things even more annoying, but Galfredick suddenly appears, shouting that it explains everything. It is no wonder Eugene had such keen sight in the pitch-black dungeon, he declares, slamming his hand on the table, and that he had ears as sharp as a wild dog's. He concludes that with his agile movements and monstrous strength, he knew Eugene was no ordinary human. Pardek asks Eugene how he managed to keep a low profile with such a distinctive face. Eugene just smiles mysteriously, saying, well. He claims it was not as though he concealed it intentionally. Everyone at the table, including Pardek and the two women, stares at him in awe. Pardek is stunned he can say that so casually, while other women at the table swoon. Eugene realizes people see what they want, and thinks claiming elven ancestry might be a good excuse later. He reflects that devouring the magic stone gave him more than just a new ability. This moment the tattoo vanished. Memories he had never seen before began to flood his mind. He saw himself in his current form, lying in a strange place with a soft hand clasping his. A sound effect echoes in the memory. Who on earth was that woman in my memory, he wonders as a shadowy image of a smiling woman surfaces. He even questions if the memory is truly his own, he muses, his red eye narrowing. Suddenly, someone shouts his name, snapping him back to reality. A sound effect shows his surprise. It is the blonde kid from the dungeon, begging Eugene to save him. Pardek has the kid in a headlock. "You hopeless brat, I heard everything. I heard you were nothing but dead weight to Sir Eugene." This kid screams back. That is because Sir Eugene is not human. He looks terrified but insists. Any normal person would have run for their life. Pardek gets even angrier. "So what, are you calling Sir Eugene a monster now?" Eugene tunes them out, thinking that the only thing he remembers is the name Eugene. As Pardek chases the kid in the background, Eugene has a hunch if he erases the tattoos one by one, he might find the truth, not a false identity like a knight or an elf, but who he truly was. This title card for the chapter appears, ending the scene. A man with red hair introduces himself as Yan, the eldest son of the Eugene family. A hand presents a box to them with the order to give it to them. A blonde man leans over an old man in bed, calling out to his father. This father worries about the second son's ambition, but the blonde son promises to lead the domain faithfully. He tells his beloved son that a domain is nothing but dust and soil. He must set his sights not on the land, but on the people he leads. This son holds his father's frail hand as he passes. Eugene observes the funeral, noting that many people seem to be mourning Lord T1's passing, but even in the face of the same death, not everyone feels the same. This blonde son from before looks absolutely furious, clearly not sharing the sentiment of grief. Later, Yan apologizes for having to depart during the Lord's funeral. He then turns to Eugene, asking if he really plans on staying. Eugene confirms he wants to visit the dungeon again, saying it would be a waste to leave now. Yan says that is a shame and that a certain Count Evergrow would have liked him. He then reaches for Eugene's cloak, much to our boy's confusion. Yan offers a handshake. "It was an honor to measure myself against a strong knight like you," he adds. "I hope that next time we do not meet as enemies." Eugene just stares at the offered hand for a moment and then he shakes it. Pardek is confused, asking why Eugene is staying, but another man just smirks. A woman in armor points out that it is only natural for a knight to ride a horse, so the plan is to sell the monster byproducts and acquire a horse for Sir Eugene. Pardek gets all fired up. As your squire, Sir Eugene, I promise to serve you with all my might. But Eugene shuts him down cold. I will not be needing your assistance for the time being. Geez, that is cold. Pardek is stunned into silence, asking what he means by that. A young man with brown hair looks up in confusion as someone yells at him to move. He is at a busy port carrying a heavy crate as a foreman yells at him to get back to work. Nearby, people are gossiping about a Yan Eugene, the rookie knight who ripped a troll's head off. This young man struggles with a sack of goods as a guard shouts at him not to touch the merchandise. He takes a moment to wipe the sweat from his brow, looking up at the sky. This scene shifts to Eugene meeting with a merchant named Billmore. He was skeptical at first but is impressed by the size of the guild. Miriam stands beside him, thinking this connection will be useful for navigating human society. She leans in to warn Eugene that the situation might get complicated, and he asks why. Miriam points out a man with a monocle, the secretary to the vice manager of the powerful Palin Merchant Guild. She explains that this man has more power than Billmore, and he is here to lowball them for their materials. This secretary, Grail, grabs Billmore by the collar. Stop challenging an opponent you cannot beat and step aside. Besides, I do not see a signed contract anywhere. Do I? Grail turns to Eugene, saying rumors about him have spread from the port, about a knight who tore off a troll's head. He dismisses it as a rookie strategy to inflate the value of goods, thinking he can see right through it. Grail invites Eugene to sign with his vice manager, planning to exploit the Greenhorn Knight for all he is worth. But then Grail's face freezes in shock, a bead of sweat running down his temple. Eugene just sits there, but the sheer pressure he is emitting is enough to terrify the secretary. Grail quickly composes himself. Oh my, excuse my rudeness, I introduced myself late. I am Grail, secretary to the vice manager of the Palin Merchant Guild. Eugene looks at him with a cold, red-eye. Opportunity, what opportunity? His gaze narrows. Better conditions. Yes, well, our vice manager personally. Grail stammers under Eugene's intensifying stare. That is all it takes. Grail bolts out of the room screaming apologies. Billmore is now weeping with gratitude. Sir Eugene, I, Billmore, am moved to think you would reject a contract with the vice manager for my sake. He bows deeply, promising his full support. Eugene simply says he likes the sound of that. Billmore asks when they should start the process. Eugene stands up. We start right now, come outside. It happens often enough, knights causing trouble for us merchants to preserve their honor or face, the red-haired woman says from her carriage. She smiles wickedly. Then we just have to trouble him in our own way, do not we? For us merchants, with money and goods as our power, it should not be too difficult. She watches Eugene walk away, especially when the opponent is a poor knight who does not even own a decent horse. Why must I stay behind again? The young Squire Felid stammers. He pleads his case. Is it because I still lack the skill to follow you, Sir Eugene? If that is the case, I will start practicing swordsmanship right now. Eugene asks him a simple question. Felid, what is the role of a squire? Felid answers correctly. To assist the knight I serve in both combat and daily life. Eugene looks down at him. That is the mission I, your knight, assigned to you, my squire. He tells Felid to stay with a man named Billmore to learn the business. Felid thinks to himself that he owes Eugene his life, and complaining would be disgraceful. Eugene's voice echoes in his mind. Once we gather some money, I will consider teaching you swordsmanship. Eugene stands against a sunset, since one day the time will come when you must assist my battles as a squire. Felid looks up with wide, emotional eyes. He smiles and places a hand over his heart in acceptance. Over a cityscape at dusk, Felid accepts Eugene's command. Eugene and his two mercenaries leave a shop. He holds a nearly empty money pouch. Does money always disappear this quickly? I only bought the bare minimum, yet nothing is left. Miriam flies by his ear. My wallet is thin, so my heart feels thin too, sir. We can earn this back quickly, right? But Eugene is distracted, staring up at a massive suit of white plate armor. One of the mercenaries calls it the romance of every night, but Eugene just asks if that means it is expensive. This man explains it is a priceless heirloom passed down for generations. Suddenly, a man is sprinting towards them, shouting for Eugene. It is a blonde knight screaming in panic. A massive swarm of roamers has appeared on the outskirts of Marin. A commotion breaks out in the city. Roamers from the forest are trying to break in. A man suggests Eugene join the subjugation effort, but Eugene asks why he should. This man begins to explain his reasoning, pointing to the blonde mercenary from the dungeon. This mercenary explains that Roamer subjugation has no commission fees, and Marin is a rich city. He screams with bloodshot eyes that this means they can make a massive amount of money, and that is all Eugene needs to hear. He says, let us go, no reason to hesitate. But they are stopped by a man in a fancy suit who recognizes Eugene. Eugene identifies him as the vice manager, wondering why he is here. This vice manager is terrified by Eugene's gaze. Stammering that he does not want anything in return, he offers Eugene a fine black horse, completely free of charge. Eugene immediately takes the horse and rides off, leaving the others behind. This mercenary captain yells at his men to get horses and follow him. This vice manager just watches them go, a thoughtful expression on his face. Out in the forest, a pair of goblins are startled by an approaching sound. Eugene rides hard, Miriam flying beside him. She figures the guild members at the front are already dead. Eugene's expression is grim. He says that works out well because he has no intention of sharing any of the loot. Geez, that is cold. His horse's hooves tear up the ground as he speeds through the woods. This sun shines down through the dense forest canopy. This sound of galloping grows louder. A different blonde knight stands his ground against a horde of goblins, vowing they will not pass. This goblins just snarl and close in for the kill. This knight's bravery vanishes as he screams in terror, his horse rearing back. Suddenly, a massive black horse leaps clean over the entire scene. This knight is thrown to the ground. He tries to make a heroic oath as he falls. This blonde knight is on the ground screaming for someone to save him, but just as the goblin attacks, a sword slices through its arm. It is Eugene, charging in on his black horse with a cold, determined look. This rescued knight thanks him profusely, asking for his name, but Eugene just glares. Later, back in the city, that same blonde knight holds up a bloody sword, asking the crowd for a name. A man in the crowd asks who that knight is, and the blonde knight just laughs. He points dramatically. His name is Yan Eugene. Yan Eugene, the crowd chants. Watching from above is a red-bearded man named Louis Phelan. He notes that the more famous Eugene becomes, the harder he will be to handle. He asks his granddaughter, Prychella, if this is safe. She assures him everything is under control. She smiles, saying she was hoping he would become famous. The higher the fame, the greater the fear of losing it. Yes, that is correct, Prychella reveals to her shocked grandfather. He quickly understands her plan to buy the support of a knight protecting a noble's secret child. He decides he must send a gift to Lord Eugene. As the mayor, he cannot fail to reward the city's hero. Prychella thanks him. He will list her as the one who recommended the gift. This scene shifts to a grand balcony at night. A sound effect hangs in the air. Prychella holds a cup with a wicked smile. Dig the well and wait. She walks forward until they drink the water I sell without. Later, Eugene arrives in a fancy room, now wearing sleek red and black armor. He asks if she is Prychella, the deputy manager. She compliments the armor gifted by the mayor, saying she had it commissioned at the finest workshop in Marin. It is made from special steel and ogre bones, strong enough that even a dragon's teeth cannot easily pierce it. She asks how he likes it. Eugene says that thanks to the armor, the next dungeon raid will feel much more secure. Eugene thanks the vice manager for the excellent lodging and meals, saying his mercenaries look better and he expects greater results. This woman smiles with sharp teeth, saying she will show gratitude for the goodwill. We can talk after the dungeon raid is complete. I am busy and must go, Eugene says, cutting her off. He then clarifies that his contract is only for the byproducts, so this might be their last farewell. This vice manager's expression sours as Eugene says he will focus on collecting magic stones now. As Eugene turns to leave, she yells at him to wait. He just pauses over his shoulder, a slight smirk on his face. She asks what he means, saying there are limits to pretending not to notice. She lists everything he has received: expensive armor, a warhorse, and luxury hotels for his men. Since the byproducts you sold will not even cover half the payment, you clearly never learned that everything has a cost, she states, a close-up on Eugene's face. As she calls him Marin's hero, she asks if he plans to take it all and just walk away, daring him to talk his way out of it. Eugene just grins. How amusing. He calls out her strategy, summoning people, shoving unwanted gifts on them, and then demanding repayment. Still, like you said, everything has a price, he murmurs, leaning in close. He promises that she will learn what it means to pay that price. He says this looks like the Palin Guild is colluding with Marin to corner the knight who saved the city, and he warns her that if this continues, no knight will ever bother helping Marin again. He turns his back on the whole room. I am finished here, so I will take my leave. But as he walks away, she calls out for him to please wait. She bows deeply. I acted rudely. She introduces herself as Prychella and offers her deepest apologies. From across the room, she admits her greed clouded her judgment and asks to start over. This merchant woman thinks that most knights are idiots who chase money and fame, but she realizes Eugene is different. He is far too dangerous to mess with. My instincts as a merchant will not let me lose him, she vows, clutching her dress. Back in the meeting room, Eugene sits in his dark armor. I suppose I can at least hear you out. His red eyes narrow. But it had better be worth my time. This merchant woman smiles with relief, saying thank you for showing mercy. Miriam gushes. A man beside him says he landed a great contract, and Eugene asks if he thinks so too. Funny thing is, I only said all that earlier because I was annoyed, Eugene thinks while dismounting before the new Lord T1. My brother hired new mercenaries and something feels off about them, Lord T1 says. He recalls the rotten mercenaries they hired to capture Felid before. He says these new guys give off the same stench as Eugene eyes their bald captain. I look forward to working with you, Eugene says, staring down the smirking captain. Another mercenary jokes that the bald guy can be captain if he dies, and Eugene tells them to get moving. Miriam flies up to Eugene, pointing out the scheming brother. Eugene just says he knows. He watches Bertel, the new Lord T1, thinking it is just another one of his schemes. Bertel grins wickedly as Eugene realizes the plan, to use the mercenaries to kill him in the dungeon. A sound effect cuts through the air as the scene shifts. Eugene is leading from the front, doing the work of 100 men while the mercenaries just hang back. He turns to the mercenaries. Beyond here, only mid-rank monsters appear. I cannot guarantee your safety past this point, so only those willing may follow. He looks at them with a smirk. In case that was not clear, let me repeat it. Only follow if you're certain you can keep up. This mercenary captain with the eye patch grins, thinking this is his chance. He says if the captain goes, they will too. Two of the younger mercenaries start to follow, but the captain stops them, telling them to stay back for now. These two are confused. One points out that Sir Eugene seems to have something else in mind. This sound of footsteps echoes through the cave. They venture deeper into the dark, cavernous dungeon. Eugene walks alone, thinking the last time he was here was with a man named Galfredick. It is not as fun without him. He recalls that Galfredick was an outstanding leader. He boosted morale at the right moments and always took the most dangerous roles himself. Eugene thinks that if it were Galfredick, he might have cleared this dungeon even with this sorry group. He stops walking. Now I am curious. He turns to face the mercenaries who followed him. Dropping the clumsy act already, fine. A massive wave of blue magic erupts behind him. If you want to die, suit yourself. I was almost sliced by a friendly blade, another mercenary shouts. A pair of glowing slitted eyes appear in the pitch black. A gurgled scream echoes from the mercenary through the cavern. This sounds of slashing and screaming fill the darkness as the mercenaries are picked off. This captain is furious. Thinking this is a perfect chance to rampage alone, he crushes a scroll in his hand. He yells at his men to stick together as the scroll activates, but he is met with only silence. He looks around nervously. This captain wonders why he cannot hear anything. The captain thinks as Eugene's footstep echoes in the dark. Another sound effect marks his deliberate approach. Need a little light? The mercenary captain screams in absolute terror. Eugene offers a hand by plunging it straight into the man's chest. Geez, that is cold, he asks mockingly. Well, how is it now? This captain can only call him a monster before he dies, the captain rasps. A sound effect marks the end of the fight. Another sound effect as the scene shifts. Eugene stands there with glowing red eyes, completely unfazed. Back in the city, Lord T1 rushes in asking Eugene if the news is true. That guy always spouted nonsense and now he has finally lost it. Bertel laughs it off. Lord T1 is furious. Brother, how far do you intend to take this? Bertel yells back at him. Do you really believe the words of a madman? Suddenly, the bald mercenary screams that he is useless and deserves to die, and then he throws himself right out the window. Damn, he actually did it. Bertel uses this to his advantage. See that, brother, he clearly went insane. But Lord T1 is not convinced. To me, you looking relieved that a person died looks even stranger. Bertel. Cornered, Bertel turns on Eugene, accusing him of framing him with delusions. Eugene calmly asks him a simple question. Bertel, on your honor as a knight, are you truly innocent? Bertel sweats but forces out an answer, of course. Eugene just smiles. I request a trial by combat. The scheming brother Bertel grits his teeth in pure frustration. Back at the T1 estate, rumors fly about a trial by combat and a hired hitman. Bertel stands ready for the duel, his face half hidden by his blade. This new Lord T1 watches from the sidelines, looking grim. Bertel announces they will determine the truth through a duel, following God's will. Eugene just stares back, completely unfazed by the dramatic speech. A flashback shows Bertel screaming that he has found the vampire. Eugene thinks, to think I had to be chased for over 10 years by a guy like this. This duel starts, and Eugene effortlessly deflects Bertel's attack with a swift kick. Eugene sends Bertel flying to the ground. Bertel coughs on the ground, realizing just who Yan Eugene really is, but before Eugene can finish him, Lord T1 runs in yelling for him to stop. Eugene glances back, a silent question in his red eyes. Lord T1 tells him to move. The duel is not over yet, Sir T1. He then declares the duel over, naming Eugene the winner since his brother is incapacitated. Bertel screams that he can still fight, that he will take Eugene's head himself. His brother tells him to stop, saying he should admit his sin and repent in prison. Bertel shoves his brother away, screaming about what he did wrong. He glares at Eugene, his hand tightening on his sword's hilt. He seethes, if only you had not appeared in my life, I would not have had to suffer such humiliation. Eugene's sword glows with a blue light, ready to deliver the final blow. A sound effect hangs in the air. A thin, glowing thread wraps around Eugene's neck. He stands frozen, wondering why his body will not move. A voice from off-screen tells him, you should have grasped the last chance your brother gave you. Eugene stands over the body of Bertel T1, his sword dripping blood. This remaining T1 forces, including the young blonde knight, just stare in stunned silence. Eugene walks away from the scene, leaving the new Lord T1 to look over his brother's body. Foolish younger brother, the new Lord thinks as the scene shifts to a bright and sunny port city. As Eugene walks down a long corridor, a voice asks if it is not a waste. Miriam asks why he would just use and throw away his first kin after getting a confession. Eugene asks if she really thought he would keep someone alive who turned on him. Miriam calls him a heartless vampire. She argues that slaves are a symbol of a vampire's power, but Eugene just says he does not need them. As he reaches for a door, he thinks that making weaklings into kin is just more work to clean up later. He pauses, thinking if there was one person he liked. Miriam realizes he is thinking of Sir Galfredick. This door opens to reveal a man with a mustache and a red-haired woman. The man recognizes him. Sir Eugene, this man bows deeply, welcoming him and congratulating him on the dungeon clear. Eugene greets him back. Eugene immediately grabs the man, demanding to know what happened to Sir Galfredick. This red-haired woman watches with a grim expression. She explains that 2 weeks ago, Galfredick went on a labyrinth subjugation. He apparently went missing alone, and after a thorough search of the mid-tier zones, they found nothing. She concludes that he must be stuck in the advanced monster zone. Eugene's eyes narrow. He says he hopes they will not be carrying back a corpse. A nearby knight laughs, saying Galfredick is clearly a trusted man. Eugene thinks back, confident that if Galfredick survived 3 weeks, he can last 3 more days. A hooded Templar pledges his support, moved by Eugene's loyalty. Miriam scoffs at the idea of a devout man helping a vampire. This Templar notes that it is rare for his order to take an interest in a regular knight. This other knight jokes that Eugene should become a holy knight. The thought of a vampire holy knight is absurd. This title card for the series appears. Wow, Master, this place is really amazing. There is so much water energy, Miriam marvels, flying around the water pillar. A knight gathers water as Eugene notes this is an artificial space. So basic survival is possible. He thinks that if the worst happens, they could actually hide and survive in a labyrinth like this. A smirking knight captain approaches him. It certainly is the perfect place for wicked things to lurk and thrive, do you not think so? He compliments Eugene's skills, noting that not a single person died on the way here. This captain tells him not to be impatient. You said you trust Sir Galfredick, right? Eugene points out that for that claim, it seems people die every time. The captain just laughs. He calls it a sacrifice offered in hopes of passing through safely. Geez, that is cold. Suddenly the ground begins to shake. The captain yells for everyone to brace themselves as the labyrinth shifts. A purple-haired mage beside Eugene says, "It is right here, Sir Eugene." This walls crumble away to reveal massive gears. This is where a shortcut to the upper level lies. This captain grins, right there, exactly where you're standing, Sir Eugene. This massive gears of the labyrinth grind and turn, activating the trap. Eugene stands his ground as the floor beneath him gives way. They land in a new area. Eugene realizes it was not a natural quake. Galfredick was framed. This mage panics, asking what the goal is. Before shouting for Eugene and pointing ahead, Eugene's eyes glow red. He sees someone. He is still alive if we can get him out and treat him. Miriam flies up to her master. Master, something is off here. She points down into the darkness. I felt it earlier, but deep down there, something with a different texture. This mage stumbles back as a powerful presence makes itself known. A massive demonic creature with a long tail and purple flames erupts from the ground. This full beast reveals itself. A towering skeletal demon wreathed in violet energy. It slams its fist down, sending a shockwave that throws both Eugene and the mage off their feet. Eugene is sent flying through the air as the mage screams, caught in the blast. This skeletal demon raises its massive, jagged weapon wreathed in purple flames. It stands tall, a true monster ready to bring its blade down. And there is Sir Galfredick, beaten and bound to a pillar. A sound effect marks a powerful impact as the ground shatters. Eugene lands safely, a magic circle cushioning his fall. His eyes glow red as he screams, "What is this insanity?" This mage warns him. "Sir Eugene, that is a minotaur. It is top tier, even among high-rank monsters." He panics, screaming that even a vampire would die against this thing. He cannot believe it. A minotaur in the first place. I thought at most there would be a cyclops. But Eugene is focused on something else. Oh my, I did not know that mage could use earth magic. This smirking knight captain appears. The one barely saved thanks to Sir Galfredick. This captain's name is revealed, Lugates, and he looks like nothing but trouble. Lugates continues to mock him in front of his hooded followers. Eugene lunges, grabbing him by the throat. "It is you, the bastard who reduced Galfredick to this state." Lugates just smiles. "Oh dear, since Sir seemed to miss his close friend so much, I simply arranged a meeting." Man, what a betrayal. Eugene's eyes burn with pure, silent rage. He throws a punch, but Lugates catches it with a single hand, a glowing sigil on his palm. This mage realizes. That monstrous strength just now, it is not yours. He explains it is forbidden magic. It is now completely forbidden. Lugates scoffs at the term. That is merely a cowardly play on words created by those who wish to monopolize power. He declares that they are the chosen ones, destined to survive. Eugene puts it all together. You borrowed someone else's power to beat Galfredick. Red energy crackles around him as he smiles. Fine, I will teach you your place. This mage is stunned by the sheer force of his aura. Could a normal vampire emit this kind of energy? Eugene's power surges. Well, hiding my power. Eugene blocks a strike from a red-armored figure, thinking it was not a bad move. He charges a purple energy blast in his hands as the mage looks on in shock. This red-armored figure kicks the purple-haired mage, sending him flying. Eugene looks down at the falling mage. I told you clearly, all the traps in this labyrinth have already been seen through. This traitorous captain smirks from afar. Fall quietly, Yan Eugene. He thinks to himself that he has no intention of holding back here. He had heard rumors that Eugene was strong, but this was something else. Victory would not have been guaranteed against a power so far beyond my expectations, he admits. Using Galfredick as bait without killing him was the right move after all. Man, what a betrayal. With a crazed grin, he declares that the final sacrifice will now be offered, back in the present. The mage calls out as Eugene walks away. Wait a minute, Sir Eugene, where are you going? This poor guy looks absolutely terrified and confused. He regrets getting involved, thinking he should have just run away. He gasps as he sees Eugene carrying the bloody and unconscious Sir Galfredick. Eugene asks the mage if he can save him. The mage stammers that healing is not his specialty. Eugene's gaze is ice cold. That is not an answer to my question. This mage is completely intimidated, left speechless by the intensity. He finally relents. I will give it a try, and gets to work. Miriam flies up to her master. Master, I looked around and there is no exit here at all. Eugene confirms they are in an isolated boss room at the very end of the labyrinth. Miriam tells him there is something more important she needs to show him. Eugene looks down at stone carvings of eyes on the floor, wondering if this is what Miriam sensed earlier. A massive, fleshy tendril covered in blood erupts from the ground. This full creature begins to rise from the bloody floor, wreathed in purple flames, as Eugene stands ready. This mage screams as he tries to shield the injured Galfredick. Eugene tells Miriam to find a way out. Miriam, find a gap to escape somehow. But the massive horned demon towers over him, blocking any path. He glances back, thinking that Galfredick is still completely immobile. Eugene grits his teeth and prepares to fight this thing head-on. This demon's jaw unhinges as it charges a massive energy blast. A wave of dark red energy slams into Eugene, throwing him back. He realizes with a grimace. You mean a normal sword cannot even leave a scratch? He glares at the monster, his resolve hardening. With a burst of speed, he unleashes a flurry of slashes against the beast, but the attack is too shallow, barely scratching the surface. He slides back across the stone floor, the demon unfazed. This monster brings its fist down with crushing force. This mage desperately tries to wake the knight. Hey, Sir Galfredick, wake up already. Your close friend is in danger. Eugene pushes himself up, knowing the mage is right. This mage can only scream his name in terror. See Sir Eugene. Bloodied and beaten, Eugene just laughs, his fangs bared. He thinks about this feeling of powerlessness, a sensation he has known for years. This demon's clawed hand descends, crackling with dark energy. Eugene looks up in disbelief, wondering why this is happening. He is sent flying, thinking, why is it more painful than back then? His body is racked with pain as dark energy courses through him. He falls from the air, defeated and covered in blood. He lands right beside the unconscious body of Sir Galfredick. And then Galfredick's eye slowly opens. He is awake. This is Sir Galfredick, his eye wide with a mix of shock and resolve. This purple-haired mage can only watch in absolute horror. Galfredick sinks into a pool of blood, thinking, I warned Sir Eugene so many times. As the demon charges an attack, he wonders if this is how he dies. This mage apologizes to his master, saying his unworthy disciple must part ways here. A voice calls out to Eugene, the mage says, pulling a wounded Galfredick from the blood. Galfredick kneels in defeat. All of this happened because I was weak. He flashes back, thinking his relationship with Eugene could have been just a passing encounter, but he was instantly drawn to Eugene's strength and unwavering resolve. He did not want their connection to fade. He wanted to be strong enough to stand beside him, back in the present. He pushes the mage away, asking Eugene for forgiveness. As dark energy consumes him, he thinks about his next life. He smiles through the blood. I will surely become a knight who serves you then, my friend. Man, what a moment. Eugene grits his teeth, his face a mask of pure rage. A massive red energy blast erupts from him, catching the mage in its wake. Eugene's form shifts into something dark and monstrous. This shadowy figure lunges at the skeletal demon. This demon is torn apart by the sheer force of Eugene's power. This mage stares in shock. There is a change in Sir Eugene's body. He sees the blood pool surging. Realizing Eugene is no ordinary vampire, he laughs. Master, your disciple may be witnessing a historic moment today. A massive stone eye on a nearby structure begins to glow red. This eye flares with intense energy, activating something within the labyrinth. This mage is left standing on a platform as the blood pool suddenly drains away. This mage notes the monster's recovery speed is impossibly fast, almost as if it is receiving healing magic. In his monstrous form, Eugene smashes directly into the giant stone eye. This mage stares in disbelief as blood begins to pour from the stone eye. As Eugene attacks the eye, a new shadowy beast emerges from it, wreathed in purple flame. This new monster unleashes a barrage of red energy blasts against Eugene. Eugene realizes the true master of this labyrinth was never the Minotaur. He thinks about how this place consumed hundreds of missing people to sustain itself. He wonders if the entire labyrinth is the god they were sacrificing people to. This traitorous captain's voice echoes, pleased that Eugene's rage has awakened the entity. This mage looks around in shock, realizing the entire pool of blood has been absorbed. A golden artifact at the center of the room begins to glow with immense purple energy. This artifact activates, and a single eye at its core flares with power from this energy. A new shadowy monster with a horned skull begins to form. Its form solidifies, revealing a single, massive, bloodshot eye. This new cyclops-like demon roars as it fully materializes. This monster flies right past the mage, who yells out in confusion. It soars upwards, breaking through the ceiling of the labyrinth. This mage panics, realizing an advanced monster is escaping to the civilian village outside. Damn, Miriam flies in, calling out that she has found the exit. But the exit is a massive hole blown open in the ceiling, a chaotic blue light shining through. She screams as the entire chamber begins to collapse around them. We see Galfredick, bloodied but with a look of fierce determination. Eugene stands over Galfredick's body, which is impaled by dark spikes. This mage cannot believe what he is seeing. A vampire mourning the death of a human. He reflects that he has never seen a vampire form a bond with a human before. Eugene bites into his friend's neck to turn him with his own noble blood. Blood trickles down Galfredick's face as the process begins. A dark energy surges through Galfredick's body, a sound effect marking the change. We see a vision of a city at night, wreathed in a fiery aura. This series' title appears, marking a new chapter. And there is one more thing I should tell you, the mage adds seriously, he reveals. An origin can revive someone who has not been dead for long and make them one of its kin. Eugene is stunned. This mage admits he tried it once, but the human's mind broke, making them disposable. He warns that a proud knight like Galfredick might see this as an insult and attack. He asks Eugene what he thinks he should do. I never even told Galfredick I was a vampire, Eugene thinks, his expression unreadable. A montage flashes by, showing all the moments of their friendship. Eugene looks down, his face shadowed with doubt. He wonders aloud if there is really any other option. He decides he will just have to ask him directly, his body glowing with red energy with a click of his tongue. His red eyes narrow with resolve, and then we cut away. Eugene's shadowy form faces off against the mage. A massive beam of red light crashes down from the sky into a forest. In a nearby town, people scream and run as fires rage everywhere. And there is Lugates, the traitorous captain, grinning like a madman. He stands on a clock tower, thinking the humans will never know this is a rigged game between him and the labyrinth. Man, this guy is pure evil. A horde of demonic beasts with glowing red eyes descends upon the terrified villagers. In a burning village, a woman attacks a man named Yujugo. A monstrous wolf opens its jaws as the woman shields a terrified child. This traitor Captain Lugates is in total shock. Yan Eugene, he cannot believe it. Why is that bastard here? He panics, thinking he offered Eugene as the final sacrifice. Then how did he come back alive and unharmed? He stares in horror, wondering what kind of being Eugene truly is. Eugene appears on a defeated beast, looking down on him. You look quite pleased, Lugates. A nearby tower shatters from the sheer pressure of their confrontation. Lugates just laughs maniacally, as a red-haired fighter appears with a grin. Hey, did not you miss me? This fighter crackles with energy, ready for payback. Now it is my turn to repay the humiliation from the tournament. His identity is revealed. He is the true cult leader, Lugates. A massive demon attacks the village, sending citizens running for their lives, but Eugene intercepts it in a blur of red and black energy. His eyes glow as he charges a powerful blast in his hand. He unleashes a devastating beam of pure red energy. This villagers watch in awe. Wait, someone's fighting the monsters. They see a knight in black armor with red eyes. One of them recognizes him immediately. Is not that Sir Yan Eugene? No, everyone, a villager with shadowed eyes warns. With a chilling smile, he declares, that person is the Messiah. Man, this is getting creepy. This crowd is whipped into a frenzy, believing a prophecy has come true. Meanwhile, Eugene continues the fight, blasting another monster point blank. He effortlessly dodges a counterattack, moving with inhuman speed back on the ground. The Knight Captain Lugates screams as purple energy erupts from his hands. He collapses to his knees as his followers cry out, the god has been struck. His hooded followers panic, screaming that a calamity is coming and they need to run. I have inherited the power of a god, Lugates declares, struggling to his feet. He screams that he will be the one to lead them. One of his knights is in shock, wondering if Eugene was always this strong, but then Galfredik walks past him, his hair now a vibrant red. Galfredik grabs the knight, asking his new master Eugene for the order. Lugates can only stare in disbelief, screaming that this cannot be happening. He was so sure that victory was right in front of them, he cackles, calling them inhuman monsters. Shot of a burning town as someone curses the monster responsible. This nightmare of that single night finally comes to an end, a relieved citizen murmurs. Eugene became the hero who saved the land, with people throwing flowers for him and Galfredik. But Eugene did not care about the fame, he was just glad his friend was alive. Man, that is all that matters. Sometime later, a door bursts open. Galfredik sobs, worried that his green onion might have been turned into grilled orc intestines. He points at a tiny blue spirit on his head, asking what it is, and Eugene says he can finally see her. Eugene explains she's just something that follows him around, which earns him an angry retort from the spirit. This spirit introduces herself as Lady Mirian. As the purple-haired mage notes, he can faintly see her too. I am his first contractor, Mirian proudly declares as Eugene explains her annoying usefulness. He looks at Galfredik. Especially you, since you became my kin. Eugene lays down the new rules. Galfredik, from now on you must only drink animal blood. Sir Eugene is an origin after all, the purple-haired mage remembers. This purple-haired mage explains that burning in sunlight only applies to ordinary vampires, not an origin. He adds that since Galfredik is an origin's kin, he is also fine in the sun. Eugene looks at his own hand, which has strange black growths. He is in disbelief. Really, I am completely fine. He clutches his chest, wondering why he suffered for so long, as Galfredik puts a hand on his shoulder. Galfredik grins. What did you say to me back then, elf? He says he finally understands why Eugene always wore a hat and rejected his sparring requests. Eugene admits it was the best he could do, and Galfredik says there is no reason to refuse anymore. Galfredik starts to call him by a nickname, but Eugene's sharp glare stops him cold. Galfredik turns to the purple-haired mage. You can no longer speak Sir Eugene's name aloud. From now on, you must properly call him Master. This mage is completely shocked, asking why, and Galfredik explains it is because he is now Eugene's kin. This mage argues that they are friends first, but Eugene just watches them, saying it will not change anything. We flash back to the ruined labyrinth. Eugene in his full demonic form tells Galfredik, you are no longer human. He explains that saving him was the best option, but his life will now be so dangerous that dying might have been better. Saving you is nothing more than my whim, he adds coldly. Galfredik looks down, the bite mark still fresh on his neck. He looks up from his knees and says, that is a bit hurtful to hear, my friend. Back in the present, the mage is still arguing, and Eugene just smirks, thinking he might have to stitch his mouth shut. Galfredik suddenly remembers something important. He asks, Master, what about that yellow bowl-cut guy in Pardek? He is worried about their mercenary friends. Eugene reveals he secretly gave them a task and wonders if they handled it properly. We cut to a blonde man reading a letter of thanks sent to Lord Eugene from a monastery for rooting out a heretical faction. It explains the Templars were illegally using half-demon magic stones to raid labyrinths and expand their heretical group. A flashback shows mercenaries arresting the Templars. The letter confirms Eugene dispatched them. We see Eugene in his armor. He explains that he was always suspicious of the Templars volunteering for the mission. A blonde noble explains the St. Lagran Monastery was sponsored by the Evergrow family, and their honor was at stake. He formally thanks Eugene on behalf of his family, saying the people's respect for him is reaching the skies. Eugene says he was glad to help and tries to leave. But the noble stops him with one last thing. He congratulates Galfredik on his safe return, adding that he is relieved his close friend is unharmed. This noble leans back in his chair with a satisfied look, the sound of his movement echoing. His expression turns cold and calculating, his blue eyes staring intently. Man, this guy is shady. Later at a tavern, Galfredik raises a mug. Being able to return with all my limbs intact like this was largely thanks to the master's help. This other mercenaries get excited and beg Eugene to let them serve him too, but he just says, I refuse. I really have become a vampire's tongue. Galfredik laughs, realizing the beer tastes foul. A young man points out Galfredik's eye color has changed, asking if something happened in the labyrinth. Galfredik dodges the question by teasing the kid about looting the monastery, asking if his contribution was exaggerated. It was astonishing that Eugene uncovered the truth. Even Lord Jevon was shocked, Pardek says. Eugene smirks. Really, now I am curious what exactly surprised Lord Jevon. Pardek asks if Eugene thinks the letter was pure gratitude and wonders if Lugates was just a scapegoat. Eugene corrects him, saying he allowed it to happen by telling them to only loot the Templars, not the abbot. Looting the entire monastery would have tarnished the Evergrove family's honor, he explains, setting up Lugates as the perfect scapegoat. Pardek realizes what this means, and Eugene confirms that the only one who will move is Lord Jevon. Eugene calls to Pardek, telling him it looks like they will have to leave the Evergrove territory tonight. Under the full moon, his voice echoes that they must do it very quietly. We see Eugene riding a black horse at full speed through a dark forest. An overhead shot reveals a convoy of wagons being surrounded by cloaked riders. A young man in a wagon panics that they are surrounded, as a cloaked attacker aims a crossbow at them. A group of hooded riders declare that this goes beyond deceiving Lord Jevon. Their leader vows to take responsibility by scarring a certain pretty face. His eyes narrow with malice as he says the name. Yan Eugene, but in a flash, Eugene appears right beside him, his red eyes glowing. Eugene sends the man flying off his horse with a single kick. This other knights are thrown into chaos, one archer cursing as he loses his balance. Eugene stands over the defeated knights, calmly telling them to stay still. Galfredik rides up, complimenting his master on his excellent tactics. He grins, asking when Eugene learned to use a saber sword so well on horseback. Eugene looks back at him. I learned it from you. Galfredik is completely baffled. He asks when he ever taught him that, but Eugene just thinks it is not entirely wrong. A strange voice echoes in his mind. Kin belong to their lord, as Eugene wonders about the voice. One of the captured knights starts yelling at Galfredik. This knight accuses Galfredik of being shameless and blaming Sir Lugates for his own failures. Eugene's eye glows red. He finds their chirping very noisy. He draws his sword. You all came prepared to die, did not you? I will let just one of you live and go back. Galfredik quickly intervenes. He suggests taking them as prisoners, saying it is an old custom to honor brave enemies. He then rubs his fingers together, hinting at another motive. And yeah, he pulls out a coin. It brings in money. Man, this guy, Eugene gives him a dark look. So as long as their limbs are intact, that is fine, right? He says good. And tells them he will at least avoid their joints. Geez, that is cold. A scream of I am sorry, I was wrong echoes through the forest. Later, Galfredik explains they will receive the ransom from Lord Jevon of the Evergrove family. Eugene hands over his damaged armor for repair, noting it was pierced by a single skewer. This armorer agrees to reinforce it, and Eugene requests a new set for Galfredik too. Galfredik throws an arm around Eugene, saying he has to maintain his dignity now that he is Eugene's man. Since he brings in plenty of byproducts anyway, there is no reason to skimp on his benefits, the merchant woman decides. She asks Eugene his next destination, and he says he plans to clear advanced dungeons. For greater dreams, one always needs more money, he thinks as the merchant woman offers a sly and knowing smile. I know of a gambling den, what do you think? She suggests to a confused Eugene. Elsewhere, a fist slams down on a desk with a loud crack. A white-haired man rages in his office. Furious that his knights were captured by a single person, he thinks about Eugene, realizing he was far stronger than he ever imagined. He wonders if he should just let it go, even though Eugene killed one of his knights. He stands up suddenly, having come to a decision. He remembers Eugene came via the Palin Merchant Guild, so his next stop must be one of their contracts. He looks over some documents, trying to figure out which demonic realm the guild still has a contract with. A terrifying, sharp-toothed grin spreads across his face. Man, that is a creepy smile. It is obvious where Eugene is heading, he thinks, looking at the Philia ruins on the map, on a ship. Galfredik tells Eugene the peninsula has barely any influence from the central church. He explains the former ruler was a tyrant, so the whole situation there is extremely complicated. When the ruler fell, the bishop fled too, and Eugene notes that this is good news. Suddenly, the spirit Miriam flies in, screaming for Eugene's attention. She points out that the purple-haired mage is dying, as he vomits a rainbow over the side of the ship. This mage admits he tagged along because they need monster byproducts to create chimeras. This mage declares that researching and creating chimeras is the ultimate goal of his school. He swears his desire to help Eugene is not a lie, but Miriam says he just does not want to be thrown away. This mage questions why a spirit would contract with a vampire, and Eugene says they get to travel and collect gold. Galfredik is shocked that spirits like money. He tells Eugene that everyone recognizes how amazing he is. He points out that even the other mercenaries tagged along after seeing Eugene in action. Galfredik then asks Eugene what his goal is, saying he has never heard it before. Eugene looks out at the sea, considering the question. A close-up shows his determined red eye. He thinks about his two main goals, survival and revenge. He needs to recover his memories and grow stronger using red magic stones to avoid a miserable death. He remembers the holy knights who killed him, knowing he can never let his guard down. Galfredik tells him he does not have to answer, saying he does not really care what the goal is. He grins. Your goal is my goal, so just give the order, I will follow you. Damn, that is loyalty. Eugene just looks at him, silent for a moment. Miriam flies up to him, saying she likes being by his side even more than gold coins. She then asks if they are still going to build a golden castle as the mage promises to help. This mage asks for plenty of monster byproducts in return, and Eugene says it depends on his contribution. A close-up on Eugene's eyes shows a hint of amusement. He thinks to himself that having allies does not feel so bad after all. They arrive at their destination, and a man tells them they need to depart immediately. Eugene agrees. This group rides out, heading for the barony of Bayagalan, a well-managed part of the peninsula. A guide explains they have not been able to kill any intermediate monsters lately, and Eugene guesses it is a wyvern. We see a terrifying red wyvern. The guide says it uses harpies to exhaust its prey before it attacks. Eugene thinks this might be a good chance to get some red magic stones. That is the man Vice Manager Prychella sent, so do not underestimate him for asking what bandits have to do with a wyvern, a voice warns the escort knight. But the knight thinks Eugene just looks like a pampered noble who might get killed by bandits. Man, what a misjudgment. He figures Galfredik is the strong one, and Eugene is just using him to build his own fame. This spirit Miriam tells the knight something feels off about Eugene, but he dismisses it, saying their goal is the demonic realm. Suddenly, Eugene yanks on his reins, bringing his demonic horse to a halt. He rides off the path as the knight follows, and Eugene glances down at the ground with a serious expression. Eugene calls out to Galfredik and asks for a spear, which Galfredik happily provides, calling him master without warning. He plunges the spear straight into the ground, impaling a hidden bandit, damn right through the heart. This other hidden bandits realize their cover is blown and scream for everyone to attack. A whole horde of bandits bursts from the forest, revealing a massive ambush. This escort knight is stunned, wondering how Eugene could have possibly noticed them. He orders his men to guard the carriage, but Eugene is already charging headfirst into the fray. We transition to a new scene. Later, a group of captured bandits kneels, begging for their lives and offering to give up everything. They even offer to become slaves if they are just allowed to live, Eugene observes, noting there are too many mouths to feed. This bandits plead that they will starve and only drink water. The escort knight watches in disbelief. He thinks about how Eugene wiped out 4 bandit groups in just 2 days, as expected of someone from the Palin Guild. A villager kicks a crying bandit, yelling at him for kneeling so easily after terrorizing their town. It cannot be helped, we are behind schedule, so we will move right away, Galfredik declares. A villager panics, asking what will happen to the remaining bandits, and Eugene just asks what he means. These villagers are shocked. They assumed he had come to protect them. Galfredik throws an arm around Eugene and laughs, asking if they want his master to become their new lord. These villagers all drop to their knees, begging Eugene to stay and protect them. Eugene thinks to himself, wait, did I not deal with all the bandits on the way here? A knight has a sudden realization. This is a chance to live as the subordinate of an outstanding knight. He approaches Eugene. Sir Eugene, what is this? May I say something? He explains that Eugene wiped out the famous bandits in the area, and Eugene just asks so. This knight says the region is now a power vacuum. In other words, if you want, you can become a lord right away. Both Eugene and the spirit Miriam are surprised by this sudden offer. Eugene considers it. An invisible force could help keep the central church in check. But what matters most to me is the red magic stone. He wonders if being a lord is worth spreading his resources thin when he needs to search for that stone. Suddenly, a scream from outside interrupts his thoughts, and his eyes snap open. A guard stumbles into the room in a panic. Sir Eugene, something terrible has happened. A mercenary reports the bad news. The bandits we captured as slaves stole horses and escaped. Outside, he explains that a few of them hid metal pieces in their mouths to cut the ropes. Eugene just looks on calmly. I am thinking about it. The mercenary is confused. He then notices Pardek's hand is bleeding. Pardek, were you injured too? Pardek says it is just a scratch. Eugene's eyes glow red with fury. How dare mere bandits injure my mercenaries? He turns to leave, vowing not to let them live. As a nearby knight feels a sudden chill, Eugene tells a red-haired man to guard the village and accept the offer to become lord on his behalf. Pull weeds like that out by the roots. His final thought echoes over a town engulfed in flames. This fire rages. A voice says they heard the group was captured and went to the ruins to hunt a wyvern. A scarred bandit leader grins. We will take back Paranin once the Black Knight leaves. This villagers confront the bandits. Who are you? Are you the ones who set the church on fire? The Black Knight killed the bandits here so it became livable again, the blonde knight realizes. A bandit swings his sword at the villagers. From now on, we will collect the heads of anything that gets in our way. Damn, that is cold. A man screams as he is struck down, blood flying from the impact. He lies defeated on the ground, his horse rearing in panic beside him. Eugene stands over him, his black and red armor gleaming as he flicks blood from his sword. He looks out over the burning town, the ground littered with bodies. Later, perched in a tree, he thinks to himself, this place is already a hunting ground I marked. Suddenly, a white-haired man with a mask looks up at him, noticing his fangs and red eyes. These 2 vampires clash in a blur of motion, their capes flying. HMPH, you are a vampire too, so what are you so surprised about? Eugene scoffs, easily dodging the ground-shattering stomp. This masked man mocks him. Is it because you are a rootless roamer? That must be why you walk around looking so ugly. Eugene's eye glows, reflecting his opponent as he commands him. Kneel, you mongrel roamer. This defeated vampire thinks about the silver in Eugene's sword, realizing he must be connected to an origin. Eugene asks if his father told him to attack his own kind, and the vampire quickly denies it. He frantically explains that he acted on his own foolish judgment. Eugene recalls Romary explaining that a vampire's parent is the one who turned them. He sits with a menacing aura. Is there any reason I should trust someone who caused something like this? This white-haired vampire looks absolutely terrified by Eugene's presence. He slams his head to the ground. I swear upon the bloodline of no pharaohs in the name of my father, Duke Byarance, I will do anything, so please forgive me. Anything, Eugene states, his red eyes narrowing with cold calculation. Announcing the village's new master is fine, but Miriam the spirit reminds him, flying at his side. She admits she does not feel at ease, and Eugene just thinks about hitting her. Geez. If you do not want to die, you'd better do it properly, the one destined to become the demon king warns. Miriam calls out to Eugene as they arrive at their destination. Eugene looks ahead with a calm, determined expression. A knight greets them at the base of a hill, pointing out Baron Beagalin's castle. This castle itself is a massive, imposing structure against the sky. Inside, the Baron reads a letter, questioning why he is not getting any more troops for the subjugation. He tells Eugene's group that ruling a territory is not easy, and this is a very sudden notice. Eugene cuts to the chase. So you mean we must carry out the subjugation with only my forces? In that case, please raise the success reward, he counters. Eugene lays out the logic. They have failed twice, so a third attempt without reinforcements deserves a bigger payout. This baron looks stunned for a moment, as Eugene says his request is not unreasonable. Indeed, just as your reputation says, a bold and forthright knight, the grinning baron laughs. He agrees to the proposal and calls his head butler to draw up the new contract. This baron offers half of all monster byproducts and magic stones from the mission. Eugene accepts with a feigned grin, calling the baron generous and benevolent. This baron confirms the mission will begin tomorrow, looking quite pleased with himself. He dismisses them, saying he will have a guide and rooms prepared for them. Later, Pardek asks Eugene how the meeting went, and Eugene tells him there are no extra troops. Pardek is shocked, but Eugene reassures him they are getting a higher reward instead. This mercenary still thinks it is unfair treatment. Galfredik grabs him, reminding him that he followed their master because he trusts his abilities. He smiles, saying with him and the mage around, there is nothing to worry about. Pardek relaxes, admitting he never doubted Eugene anyway. This next day, the group rides out from the castle, heading towards the Filia ruins. A couple of guys gossip about the blood-armored knight coming from Marin, but one thinks it is unlikely. This light brown-haired man listens in, a thoughtful look on his face. He figures that since Eugene is an outsider, he probably knows very little about wyverns, he speculates, noting their small force. As they head out the gate, he thinks that no matter how strong Eugene is, this whole situation feels unsettling. He watches them leave, clearly having second thoughts about something. Suddenly, he runs after them, calling out for the knight to wait a moment. Miriam points it out, and Eugene glances back with a questioning look. This man catches up, telling Eugene he has something important to report. He pleads for just a moment of his time. We cut to a large castle at sunset, nestled among the mountains. This architecture is impressive, with tall spires against the orange sky. Inside, a man presents byproducts from a roamer he caught near the castle, saying he brought the parts the baron would like. This baron strokes his chin. I wonder if there is any knight as loyal as you to me. He praises the knight for being strong enough to hunt trolls, and the knight just laughs proudly. This baron then gets to the real point, telling Sir Oleg he was summoned for something more important. He needs him to deal with something, he states with cold determination. Specifically the one who insulted him, he orders Oleg. This knight is immediately filled with righteous fury, he growls, cracking his knuckles. He declares, in my lord's stead, I, Oleg, will bring down the hammer. Damn, that is loyalty. This baron smiles, calling him a loyal knight and thinking about the extra 100 gold coins he will get if Eugene dies. Elsewhere, a white-haired man named Jebin Evergrow looks at his own chest of gold, noting the malice in a letter he received. A close-up shows the glowing yellow eyes of the red wyvern. Eugene looks ahead as someone calls him master. He has organized the prisoners, the strong are soldiers, the weak are porters. This red-haired man, Galfredik, reports that their palisade base is complete. He asks if it is not bad for a rush job, and Eugene just hums in agreement. This newly formed group rides out from their makeshift fort. One of the new recruits complains that a thorn in his armor will not come out. He wonders why they even bothered building a palisade just to leave it behind. Galfredik thinks to himself that he only swore loyalty to avoid slavery. He still does not trust Eugene. But suddenly, his eyes widen as he senses something approaching. He quickly turns and calls out to his master. This group halts before a quiet forest path forming a shield wall. An archer draws his bow. Thinking there is nothing there, he scoffs that it must have been a coward, then freezes in terror at a strange sound. A high-pitched chittering echoes through the air. A massive flock of winged creatures bursts screeching from the trees. It is a swarm of harpies, just like the guide warned them about. Eugene stands at the front, calmly ordering his archers to prepare to fire. A monstrous harpy leader with horns and fangs lets out a terrifying shriek. One of the creatures dives straight for Eugene, whose horse rears in panic. This harpy sinks its talons into his shoulder, but he does not even flinch. He leaps into the air and cuts down a dozen harpies in a single bloody whirlwind. Damn. Landing on a rock, he yells for the mage Romary to get ready, who eagerly agrees. Romary slams his staff into the ground, activating a glowing magic circle. This mercenary Pardek and the other soldiers are buffed, their weapons glowing with magical energy. Galfredik tells Romary to focus on her spell, promising to guard her. Pardek rallies the men. Everyone, draw your swords and fight. It is close combat now. A mercenary curses the harpies as he slices through one of them. Pardek grins wildly. You are all fighting better than expected, are not you? Two of the horned harpies screech at each other in the sky. Suddenly, the soldiers notice the harpies' movements have become strange. This entire swarm begins to dive down from the sky in a spiral. They all converge on a single target, Eugene, who just looks up. A massive impact shakes the ground, and Pardek screams out for his master, but Eugene is completely unharmed, standing in the center of the chaos. He unleashes a whirlwind of slashes, cutting down every harpy around him. He stands drenched in their blood, surrounded by falling body parts. Pink energy begins to swirl across the battlefield from a distant silhouette. Romari holds a large red gem, chanting a binding spell. This magical energy lashes out, wrapping around the remaining harpies. Her spell creates a massive vortex, pulling all the monsters into its center. She calls out to her leader, Lord Eugene, all monsters in this area have been restrained. Eugene looks at the captured monsters. Good work, Romari, now all that is left is cleanup. He addresses his blood-soaked soldiers. The real subjugation begins now. A scarred mercenary watches in awe. Is not this just putting utensils to a meal that has already been set? A brown-haired knight calls him out. You there, the one who was complaining earlier, changed your mind now. He grabs the man's collar. If you have sworn loyalty, do not casually doubt your commander. I am giving you sincere advice, the knight says, staring the mercenary down. This mercenary looks away, thinking that the knight is also from Karlsbadgen. The soldiers are fired up, yelling to take down the wyvern too, but Eugene has other plans. He orders a retreat, telling them to stick the collected heads on the palisade. Pardek runs up to him. Lord Eugene, why are we retreating all of a sudden? The soldiers' morale is sky high right now. This rest of the troops murmur amongst themselves. Confused by the sudden order, this knight from Karlsbadgen argues they should push forward, but the scarred mercenary is also confused. This knight teases him about his change of heart, but the mercenary admits he feels like trusting Eugene. This knight points out a key detail. Not a single person died. This mercenary realizes it is true. They killed over 100 monsters with 0 casualties. He also notes Eugene did not use the former bandits as shields. Unlike their old boss, they watch Eugene walk away, thinking that knights with tactical sense are rare, and that Eugene seems to have it all, an admiring soldier remarks. He asks Galfredik if the group approaching is a support force. Galfredik scoffs. No way, Baron Baegalin is not that generous. A group of heavily armored men emerges from a cave, and they do not look friendly at all. Galfredik recognizes a familiar face in the crowd. Is not he the one who talked to you at the Baron's castle? He asks Eugene to confirm if it is the same guy. Eugene's eyes narrow as he remembers the man who ran to warn them. We flash back to that same man reading a book by a river. He is reading about the legendary hero who first united the nation, the Night King, Aiden. He thinks about how even as a bastard from a knightly family, Aiden was his idol. He always dreamed of becoming a knight just like him. He looks up at the sky with a hopeful smile. But he falters, his expression shattered. This brown-haired man looks on with a grim expression. He thinks back to the moment he became a slave of a foreign nation. He remembers as the day his life shattered. Now he is just a porter, carrying heavy loads for soldiers. He barely endures these long, desperate days, he mutters, sweat beading on his face. He remembers Sir Oleg's orders to wait at the entrance and kill the Black Knight. Answer me, do you understand? Oleg screams at his men. This men reply yes, but the brown-haired man looks down in thought. He thinks that the Night King would never have used such cowardly methods, Oleg says, stopping in his tracks. He is shocked. But why is it outside? A soldier points it out. It seems the suppression force has noticed us. What should we do? A soldier reports to Galfredik and Romari as they wait outside the palisade. Oleg scoffs. If that is how it is, we charge with everything we have got. A soldier calls it reckless, but Oleg threatens anyone who does not go. A knight shoves the brown-haired man, thinking Oleg's skill is the real deal even if he is an idiot. He orders all the slave soldiers to the front line. Move it if you do not want to get hit, the brown-haired man yells, stumbling to the ground. Oleg screams a promise to pay for every enemy killed, with a final command to charge. His soldiers rush forward. They run towards Eugene's forces, Oleg yelling to kill every last one of them. This brown-haired knight fights off monsters, but his mind is clearly elsewhere. He looks conflicted, his thoughts drifting away from the battle. He remembers the man he saw leaving the castle. A vision of Eugene appears in his mind, a powerful and imposing presence. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he processes his realization. He thinks that a man like Eugene would never have used such cowardly means. He grips his sword, making a decision. Form ranks and attack on my command, Eugene orders. Suddenly, a massive wyvern flies over the gate, letting out a deafening roar. Its mouth is filled with razor-sharp teeth, crackling with raw power. This creature's chest glows brightly as it gathers a massive amount of energy. It unleashes a torrent of fire, engulfing the battlefield and the soldiers. A knight curses their terrible timing as the flames surround them. This wyvern surveys the burning land and the swarming harpies below it. Eugene watches the chaos unfold from a safe distance. His red eyes are fixed on the massive beast in the sky. So you really did show up, he muses with a sharp, fanged grin. He knew the wyvern would not let its forces wander alone, and he was waiting for it. This wyvern's glowing reptilian eye stares back with pure malice. It lets out another earth-shattering roar, a blast of energy erupting from its throat. Elsewhere, Sir Oleg watches from a hill. One of his men suggests a retreat, but Oleg demands a bow. An archer protests, but Oleg smacks him aside. Shut up and give me the bow. Oleg draws the bow himself, screaming for the damned monster to die. A massive red wyvern screeches as it leads a flock of smaller winged beasts through the sky. A knight in full armor sweats nervously, cursing under his breath. This brown-haired guide is grabbed by a harpy, screaming in terror. Pardek swings his sword with a furious expression. These damned harpies. He tells the others to grab their weapons while he holds the monsters off. Admitting he has a fear of birds, from behind the palisade, Eugene's forces watch a black creature attack the soldiers. Eugene says something feels off, and Galfredik agrees they are useful for driving in the harpies. Galfredik draws his bow, noting the wyvern is not coming down yet. He fires a volley of glowing arrows into the air. This red wyvern lets out an enraged roar. It and the other wyverns screech, clearly agitated by the attack. This soldiers realize the wyvern has called a flock of harpies and are ordered to keep shooting. A soldier yells to Eugene that there are too many. "We cannot hold like this, please issue orders." Eugene's red eye glows as he calls out Galfredik's name. Galfredik readies a special, sharp-tipped arrow, a determined look on his face. "One shot is enough," he says, firing the single arrow like a spear. This arrow strikes the red wyvern's wing, sending it spiraling out of the sky. Eugene leaps towards it with a spear. "Well lured, Galfredik." This wyvern's eye widens in shock as Eugene descends upon it. A massive cloud of dust erupts from the impact, obscuring the view. This scarred mercenary coughs, asking Galfredik if they killed it, but the wyvern's head emerges from the smoke, its mouth glowing. "Not yet, move." Everyone panics and scrambles to get away from the impending attack. This wyvern unleashes a massive torrent of fire across the battlefield. This red wyvern lets out a pained and furious roar. Alfredik yells at Romary, "Romary, can you bind that one like the harpies?" Romary agrees to try as the wyvern's glowing eye stares them down, but then Romary's face freezes in shock. He says, "Wait." This wyvern lunges right for him. "Ag, did it understand us?" Romary flinches, bracing for the inevitable. He opens his eyes, a look of grim determination taking over. Eugene shoves them both out of the way, yelling for them to move too. He stands alone, facing the massive jaws of the beast. This wyvern snaps its mouth shut, catching Eugene inside. "Damn, I was about to leave you behind," Galfredik yells at Romary. Romary looks back in terror. "Wait, look over there." Galfredik turns and sees the aftermath. "Master, damn it." A close-up shows the wyvern's eye filled with rage, but blood starts to pour from its eyelid. This wyvern's entire head is being twisted from the inside. Its neck snaps with a sickening crunch as it crashes to the ground. This harpies in the sky screech in panic. A soldier points up. The harpies are retreating. The troops erupt in cheers. This scarred mercenary asks if it is dead this time. The other soldier says it must be. Galfredik rushes to Eugene's side. "Master, are you all right? What happened?" Eugene sits up, covered in blood. "I threw my sword into its throat and killed it. Thanks to the wyvern's blood, I was not badly injured." He explains he shielded himself with black scales, then threw a bandit's sword to finish it. "The blade survived being thrown into the center of the black flames," Eugene observes, covered in blood as his red eyes and sword glow with power. "I could become much stronger with more like it," Eugene thinks as the soldiers erupt in cheers. His followers note that even the former bandits are praising him, calling him the god of war. Eugene listens to the chants of his name, his expression unreadable. Elsewhere, Sir Oleg curses his failure, deciding to retreat and wait for another chance. But he is immediately surrounded, someone calling him a suspicious attacker. Back at the castle, the captured Oleg has been interrogated, revealing Baron Bayagalin was behind the raid. This baron was given an ultimatum if he keeps denying it. The trapped baron fumes. "Admit your mistake and negotiate, and I will let this go. Otherwise, I will make the whole affair public to the merchant guild and all of noble society," Eugene proposes. In the end, the baron confessed, blaming a noble named Jevon and his own greed. Eugene walks through the hall, a figure of pure intimidation. "I demand 80% of the wyvern's valuable byproducts and magic stones as compensation," Eugene proposes. He also asked for more mercenaries to be sent to guard the baron's castle. This brown-haired man watches Eugene leave, thinking he is the only one with the skill and strategy to pull this off. Eugene turns in his saddle. "Did you say Luke?" This man, Luke, looks up in surprise and confirms his name. Eugene asks how long he served as a squire, and Luke replies it was over 3 years. Eugene gives him a new role. "Then from now on you will be in charge of armor maintenance and horse grooming." He offers to pay him 2 silver coins a month, and Luke tearfully thanks his new master. "Man, our boy finally caught a break," but Luke hesitates, asking if he can ask a question. This brown-haired man asks Eugene why he was brought along. He admits he thought Eugene was setting a trap when they attacked the Baron's knights, and he apologizes, but Eugene points out that he never drew his sword against him, only against the harpies. He promises to get the man proper armor and weapons for the battles ahead. This man is overcome with emotion, pledging to serve Master Eugene until the day he dies. He walks off thinking a knight giving armor to a slave is like something from a legend. A scout rides up the path to meet them, calling out to Lord Eugene. He reports that the village of Raven is already occupied by a group of bandits. Eugene gives his orders. They will protect the villagers and eliminate the bandits. His newly loyal troops charge ahead with a roar, eager to protect the villagers of their lord. Romary smiles, commenting on their passion and asking how it feels to be treated like a lord. She mentions Delmont ran off again, then notices Eugene's grim expression and asks if he is all right. Eugene just says let us go, and they ride on. They arrive at a large city called Maufern, where a voice welcomes Lord Eugene. Staying at an inn might cause trouble, he explains, leading them to a massive private home instead. This host explains that having over 40 soldiers enter the city is unusual. Inside a grand hall, Eugene and his men are treated to a feast. A wealthy-looking man tells Eugene that while Wyvern Slayer is a respected title, it also makes him a threat. This man is Gard, the guild master of the Maufern Merchant Guild. Gard explains that the people of Maufern have a deep grudge against bandits. He warns that if they are not careful, unnecessary bloodshed could occur, his friend advises. Eugene reassures Guard, "Do not worry, I will make sure nothing like that happens." Guard smiles, saying his house is better than any inn and he will treat them properly at the victory feast. A portly merchant yells that he does not care what they do as long as they do not cause trouble. Pardek gets annoyed at the man's nitpicking, but the scarred mercenary tells him to be quiet. Eugene is in trouble. This merchant asks Eugene how he knows so much about his situation, guessing the guild manager told him. Eugene confirms it, then asks if the man knows about the deal he made with the nearby regions. This merchant looks completely lost, and Eugene asks if that is not why they were introduced. This man is stunned. Realizing Eugene is about to become a lord, he figures out that his competitor smelled the money and skipped a feast to get a head start. His entire attitude changes in an instant. He apologizes for his rudeness, saying he did not know Eugene would be a lord. Eugene thinks to himself that he never planned on it either. A greedy smile spreads across the merchant's face. He gets it now. He thinks that Eugene is telling him to start showing some proper respect, the merchant says, offering his guild's help to manage the new village. Eugene accepts the offer, and the merchant gestures to the feast, telling him to order anything. Galfredik notes that another guild is also sending a manager, then calls for everyone to raise their glasses. In the grand hall, Galfredik gives a toast to their brave fight against the wyverns. He recounts their victory, killing hundreds of harpies with 0 casualties thanks to Eugene's leadership. He tells them to hold their heads high and to keep serving their lord for even greater victories. The soldiers erupt in a massive cheer for Sir Galfredik and Lord Eugene. As they cheer, a small blue spirit whispers praises to Eugene, the one who will become the Demon King later that night. The spirit complains that it is a shame they did not find any red magic stones. Eugene asks if he searched well enough, and the spirit gets defensive, saying the mercenaries found nothing either. Eugene just pats its head and tells it to go rest, saying he is going to sleep, but then there is a knock at the door. Someone has come to see him, and Eugene is not pleased. This person outside says the visitors insisted, giving a password, cold and red Nafilo's blood. Eugene's eyes flash with anger as he remembers a silver-haired man named Delmont. Man, this is not a friendly visit. Eugene opens the door to his room. A terrified Delmont stands there, shivering as he addresses Eugene as Your Highness. He stammers out a welcome, looking absolutely petrified. Eugene's glowing red eyes stare him down in the dark. Welcome, cousin. You have worked hard to travel so far. Geez, that is cold. Delmont says it has been a long time. The air is thick with tension. This one will only stay for a moment, Eugene tells the servant. This grand door's close. Leaving Eugene and Delmont alone, Delmont immediately falls to his knees, begging forgiveness before the great origin of their clan. Eugene reminds him that thugs have moved into nearly all the villages he was supposed to inspect. Delmont claims he was injured and decided to wait in Moffron to report. He says it is his fault and asks to be reprimanded. Eugene thinks that since he came knowing he would be scolded, he might not be completely useless. He asks what Delmont is good at. Delmont claims he can handle a few mercenaries, read, write, and speak 4 languages. He adds that as a human, he was a mid-level administrator in the Roman Empire, handling finance and personnel. Eugene makes him an offer. Then work for me. If you do it properly, I will overlook your crime. Delmont's face lights up with pure joy. He shouts yes. You will act as my cousin and manage the territory, Eugene tells the serious man in the fedora later. They meet with Guard. Delmont introduces himself as Delmondo, and the merchant is impressed by his refined speech. Delmont gets flustered, saying Sir Eugene is the moon in the sky while he is just a firefly. Guard thinks to himself that Eugene has a great eye for talent, and he no longer worries about the territory's management. He regrets not meeting Eugene before his competitor did and wonders if he can suggest another arrangement. Guard asks Eugene if he intends to expand his territory further on the peninsula. He suggests Mount Nader, but Eugene says he plans to head to Marin instead. But then Guard reveals a secret. There is a silver mine in that mountain. Eugene and his spirit are both stunned. Eugene sits calmly, the blue spirit on his shoulder. He tells the visitor to speak. A purple-haired mage presents a banner with a crest on it, asking Eugene what he thinks. This spirit is amazed by the detailed dragon design on the banner and a matching ring. This mage explains that while people associate the Dark Clan with bats, a dragon is a much better symbol. He is completely flattered by Eugene's choice, thinking that serving him might not be so bad after all, but he snaps out of it, reminding himself not to be swayed after a month of difficult research. He asks if he can consider his work a contribution and inquires about the promised reward. Eugene tells him to take a fair share, and the mage celebrates with a loud thank you. Eugene then asks the mage if he knows anything about alchemy. This mage confirms it is a fundamental skill for mages, especially for creating chimeras. Eugene then reveals he might be acquiring a silver mine and asks if the mage can refine it. This mage stomps his foot in excitement, vowing to build a lab as soon as they get back to Marin. He gets right in Eugene's face, boasting that mages are better than dwarves at refining silver. Well, someone's eager for the reward, the blue spirit teases with an accusing point. He insists it is for research materials, calling the spirit materialistic. Man, he is not wrong. This mage continues his pitch to a silent Eugene, explaining how important silver is for mages. He passionately declares his school is the best at handling silver and begs for the job. Eugene agrees, and the mage is ecstatic, bowing with his staff. Eugene gives him his orders: return to Marin with troops and manage the wyvern byproducts. With that settled, Eugene turns to his spirit. Miriam, we are going to seize the silver mine. She eagerly agrees. A bit of backstory is revealed. Mount Nader belonged to Duke Bamos, who died years ago. Eugene wonders why the powerful Archibald family never touched the valuable mine. This portly merchant from the feast gestures as he begins to explain. This reason is simple. They likely do not have the resources to deal with it right now, the greedy merchant explains in the flashback. Nearby merchants and residents were suffering losses from all the violence, a townsman recounts. Sir Eugene appeared, a villager cheers. He rides into town to a massive welcome from the people. They thank him for bringing peace, knowing he has a legitimate claim to the silver mine. This merchant guild promises to support the mine in his campaigns. In return, all Guard asks is that Eugene continues to trade with him. A pretty sweet deal. Eugene notices a banner, thinking that Delmond is already here and managing things. One of his men jokes that this is way better than when they invaded. His friend tells him to shut it. Delmond rides up, surprised to see Eugene here for silver mine. This same soldier blurts out that he also wanted the mine. Before his friend shuts him up, man, this guy, Delmond scoffs, asking if he really thought he could become a lord that way. The soldier pledges his loyalty to Eugene. Delmond just smirks. Even if you had taken it, it would have been snatched back soon enough. He asks if they really think the powerful Archibald family would let a bandit keep their land. He explains that only someone with power, fame, influence, and lineage can truly be a lord. Eugene's red eyes narrow, taking in every word. Delmond looks at him. Master, you must have been an extraordinary existence in the past. Eugene thinks of his mysterious past and the enemies he must prepare to face. As they approach Mount Nader, he knows he must stockpile every resource he can. He orders scouts to be sent out, thinking about the consequences if he dies again. He might not even recover his memories, so he gives the order to seize the silver mine later that night. The soldiers talk about heading into battle. Two of them complain about the rain, wondering how they are supposed to move in this weather. A man with a goatee smirks, telling someone to get permission from Lord Eugene first. Someone curses a scout named Anton, wondering if he betrayed them or was captured. They learn the bandits at the silver mine are called Valmont and the Hounds. Their leader Valmont is a former mercenary captain who is skilled with traps. Eugene decides they have waited long enough and it is time to go find him. Baran warns that the traps and the rain will make infiltration difficult. Eugene asks about Anton, and Baran says he was a loyal man trying to prove himself. Eugene decides he and Galfredick will go alone, telling the others to wait for his signal. Baran starts to object, but another man quickly accepts the order. Baran reluctantly agrees to follow the command as well. He gives them final orders, reminding them that the weak die and are forgotten. Geez, that is cold. His expression is grim and unyielding. He intends to make whoever is responsible pay the ultimate price. This scene shifts to the bandit hideout. Galfredick tells the captured bandit to simply nod for his answers. He asks if the boss is Valmont and if they have seen a man with a scar. Galfredick asks the final question, did you kill him? Elsewhere, two bandits discuss someone named Sir Andre. One of them argues they should just take the silver mine instead of waiting to be knighted. But the boss insists they need to see the bigger picture and get knighted first. A monster, a bandit cries out before being blasted by an unseen force. This bandits panic and try to flee, screaming for the door to be opened. Valmont yells at his men, asking where they could possibly run in this storm, and just then, something smashes through their gate with incredible force. Damn, this wooden gate explodes inward, sending bandits flying as they scream in terror. Eugene and Galfredick stroll through the dust. Eugene casually remarks, "So you were all gathered here." This bandits stare in disbelief, realizing it is not a monster that broke through their defenses. Their leader Valmont recovers quickly, screaming at his men to kill the intruders. This bandits charge forward in a chaotic wave. But then Miriam the spirit emerges from Eugene's chest, crackling with blue energy. She unleashes a blinding flash of light that engulfs the entire cavern, leaving the bandits unable to see. Galfredick asks if they should spare any for interrogation, but Eugene says Number Miriam agrees. How dare you touch the Demon King's property? Do as the master said, he commands, his eyes glowing a menacing pink as Eugene stands in the darkness. Galfredick reflects on his past. Back when I was human, I could never have imagined fighting in the dark. He continues his thought, but now it is not a problem at all. Rather, being able to openly unleash the abilities of a vampire fills me with a different kind of vigor, he muses. He taps into his enhanced senses, the senses of a vampire that once hid in the shadows, he thinks, his perception revealing a terrified bandit cowering in a corner. These new senses deliver information he could never have perceived as a human. Galfredick moves like a phantom, cutting down a bandit before he can even react. He becomes a blur of motion, tearing through the bandit ranks with brutal efficiency. He lets out a fierce battle cry, fully embracing the fight. A savage grin spreads across his face as he slices through another enemy. Man, he is enjoying this, he thinks to himself with glee. Oh my, I can see everything. He bares his fangs and extends his claws, a true predator unleashed. This cavern is filled with the sounds of battle and the sight of red. A lone survivor scrambles away in the darkness, begging to be spared. A bandit screams and curses Andre as he is struck down. Another man panics at the sight of a monstrous claw. You never said a monster like that was near the silver mine. Valmont yells at his men. To hell with knighthood, let us head down before sunrise. A bandit is knocked out cold on the rocky ground. Galfredick moves to finish Valmont, but Eugene stops him. How were not you trying to kill him too? Eugene looks down at the bandit leader. I still have something to ask the boss. This captured man lies defeated, Eugene says. He said something interesting. Later, at a grand estate, the question hangs in the air. Valmont was acting under Sir Andre's orders. Eugene confirms it to a surprised guard. We captured him alive, so you can confirm it whenever you want. Guard's eyes light up with ambition. Sir, if things go well, you might gain not only the silver mine but even control of the peninsula. He explains that Sir Andre is the nephew-in-law of Marquis Archibald and was the first to betray him, but since other nobles also pushed the Marquis out, they cannot really criticize Andre. This Marquis' own family is too busy fighting over territory to deal with it. This important part is that Sir Andre serves a man named Duke Gavril. And Duke Gavril is the eldest son of Marquis Archibald. Man, what a mess. Eugene puts the pieces together. Andre could not have done this alone. Guard smiles, impressed by his insight. Eugene asks if they could just deny it, but Guard promises that he and the city of Moffron will stand behind him. The mayor and guild masters are paying attention now that you have stabilized the trade routes, Guard reminds him. He tells Eugene this is his chance to establish his position. I can call the mercenary guild leader to gather soldiers for the stability of the entire peninsula, Guard offers.